What up? Welcome to Shawn and Maya in the morning on this hump day edition. Guys, thanks for tuning in. I'm your boy, the Superback Shawn Sierra here. I'm fighting. I got a little frog in my throat. Right in my throat, the little frog in my throat. So I got my hot tea, but don't worry. We'll take care of that. Quick, fast, and hurry. Don't worry. Flavor Vision ain't blurry. Guys, thanks for tuning in. Now, listen, if you're watching this on Facebook Live, well, then I guess you found us on Facebook. If you're watching this on the app, that's even better. That's even better. We want you to download the app. Make sure you download the app. SportsZone Chicago, you can get it on iTunes, Google Play, Amazon, wherever you get your apps from. If you're not watching us or listening to us on the app, make sure you download the app. Now, if you want to follow me, just me. Oh, you can also tweet the show. You can tweet us at SM_mornings, or you can tweet us at SportsZone Shy. That's CHI, SportsZone Shy. Now, if you want to follow me, just me, personally online, want to know what I did? Let me tell you what I did. Want to know what I did? Here's what I did. I made it nice and easy for you folks. Nice and easy. One handle for Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, the Snapper. All one handle at the Shawn Sierra. And she's in the background. She's in the dressing room right now. She's bouncing around, ready to come out. She is my co-host. She's the co-pilot in this insanity. The one, the only little savage herself, Maya Akai. What up, Maya?
AKA Peg Bundy. AKA I'm now being called Eartha Kitt.
Marcus, darling.
Everything except Thundercats. So I'm going to retire it at least for a while after today's show.
No.
Someone's like, oh my God, you're so Eartha Kitt. I'm like, no Thundercats.
I can see that. I can definitely see that.
Okay, I was like, okay, it's fine. I'm like, that's a compliment. So, I mean,
Yeah.
So someone refers Eartha Kitt, that's a compliment. So, yes, we got a lot. We got a lot to talk about. What a difference what a day makes in between a show.
Man, oh man, huh?
Okay, so of course you can always find me right there on the screen. See, I'm user friendly, unlike Shawn.
Whoa, Maya's user friendly.
You can find me at Maya_Akai, IG, and of course at the Sports Chica, Facebook and Twitter.
Guys, listen, we got a great show, but we need you to get interactive with us today, so I need you to do this. If you're watching this on Facebook Live, leave us a question or comment right there on the post. And guess what? The question or comment is going to come right up on our screen, as long as it's not a dumb question, and Ivan won't push it through. But we probably won't have any dumb questions, so make sure you leave a question or comment right there, and we want to get interactive with you. We want you to feel part of the show, and so we definitely want to incorporate your questions and your comments throughout the show. Now, listen, we got a great show for you, and man, I'm telling you, I'm fired up. Where do we go? There's so much to talk about, but we have Beth Mishler Elmore. She covers the Bears for Heavy.com. We're going to talk to her at 10 o'clock.
I like Heavy.com. Between her and Brandon, they are, if you've never checked out Heavy.com, their sports stuff is solid. It's heavy. No, I'm just kidding.
I see what you did there. Mm-hmm. But I'll tell you what, that leaves a big hole. That leaves a big hole in the Bears defensive front, their front seven. So we're going to talk to her about it and what are the Bears going to do to replace a guy who is definitely one of the most underrated nose tackles in the NFL. And so we're going to talk to Beth in the 10 o'clock hour. Okay. But I would be remiss if I did not bring him on. He's our man. He is the whiz. He's the man behind the curtain. He is our Puerto Rican Swiss Army knife himself, Ivan Vargas. Ivan, what's up, Papa? How are you?
Hey, good morning, guys. What's up?
How you doing?
I'm doing all right. Actually, Ryan Pace and Matt Nagy are about to go live in like 20. Well, actually, I just paused it. So while you guys are doing your thing, I might just turn it on and listen to it, see what they have to say.
Okay.
See what kind of stuff they got to tell us.
And you can update us on what they say. Ivan, you're looking very fresh-faced, soft baby ass today. What's that all about?
Oh yeah, I just shaved. It was I looked at myself. Well, I think earlier I looked at myself when I was setting the show up, and I was like, oh, that's not gonna happen.
Okay, all right. I could tell. I was like very fresh.
Yeah, it is a fresh shave.
Yes, it is. I can tell. I can tell. It's coming through very crystal clear. I can see it.
Thank you.
Looks good though. Looks good.
Yeah, don't worry. This will come
Shawn,
off.
on the other hand,
Shawn, no, they like that. See,
Shawn is rocking his Father Time look. Like, look at this.
The rugged older man look that people love, and I hate it. I don't know if I hate it. 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 I hate it.
You know what's funny, Shawn? I know it's got nothing to do with the face hair, but for some reason today, you are really looking like your mother. I have no idea. Like your eyes, I don't know what it is. No, it's weird. I just look, I'm like, God, he's looking like his mother today. It's weird.
Some 4'10"
Spicy. You called me.
Woman.
Okay, she was the original Little Savage. You don't know nothing about Shawn. She was the original Little Savage.
They told her nickname is the Warden.
Yes.
She was a hall model. They used to be hall models before they brought in CPD officers, and she would keep them halls clean, boy. They called her the Warden. They're like, "Damn, Miss Sierra, you like the Warden." And then the nickname ever stuck. Yeah, she was 4'10" and afraid of nothing.
Yeah, you fast forward today, she'd be Little Savage if you put her today. Yeah, for real. All right, what else is going on for the show?
Well, listen, guys, you know how we do the first segment of every show. It's called Top of the Morning to you, and these are the hot topics of the night before, or just of sports in general. And it's powered by the Chicago Crusader, and they are a partner with us. And we have our guy. I'm excited to go into these top of the morning topics because they are crazy. We have our guy with us, Joseph Phillips. Joseph, what's up, Papa? How are you?
Good morning, guys. How you doing?
Oh, okay. Now, no, okay. Stop. Hold the freak up. This Joker's outside again. Oh, this old log, this wooden thing, this log cabin back here in the Tennessee mountains. Oh, sorry. Este hombre, míralo. Yeah. Hey, I'm jealous. If it sounds like I'm jealous, you're damn right. I'm jealous.
I love it. Hey,
no, I'm not there.
We got to do the show from out here, man. We got to come out here and do the show from out here.
You're looking very refreshed. That mountain air looks like it's a good thing right about now. It's probably COVID safe to be out in the mountains.
Yeah.
Talk about social distancing.
Yeah. Yeah, this is social distancing 101. So
that's natural social distancing.
Yes, I got the sauna to my left right here.
Oh, here you go.
So
see?
Winning, baby.
That's right. I'm not mad. You enjoy it.
I'm mad because I ain't there.
We're gonna be there. We're gonna be there next summer, bro.
That's right. There you go. It's on the list of things to do. There you go.
Well, we thank you for your time this morning. We're going to get into some hot topics. At the top of the morning topic, our White Sox. They dropped 2 games to the Cleveland Indians, 4-3 and 5-3 yesterday in Cleveland. And you know what? The White Sox have started off to a lovely 1-4 record. And I'll tell you what, it is really frustrating to see my White Sox. Man, expectations are a son of a gun, aren't they? Huh? And you know what? The biggest problem with the White Sox, there's a couple of issues, but the biggest problem the White Sox have is every game they've lost, they've given up runs in the first inning. You can't give up runs in the first inning, period. I understand we have an offense that is very powerful and very potent, but don't put yourself behind the 8 ball after 1 inning of play. And the White Sox have done that every time they've lost, and it's come back to bite them in the butt. And they haven't been able to overcome this. They've been able to tie and maybe erase that lead, but nonetheless, they still weren't able to win. They got to stop giving up runs in the first inning. And I'll tell you what, I have a rant about Renteria. I'm really, really, really getting I'm pissed about this dude right now.
I think that's a new Facebook page, Renteria Rant. I think that's the new Facebook page. But hey, didn't I try, and we'll get to Joseph on this, I tried to prepare everybody since last year. He's not that dude. I'm just going to say it. I've been saying it. A lot of the same mistakes I've seen leading into this year, I'm seeing them again in regards to lineup choices and things like that. So I'm not in that Renteria is the guy to coach this squad to where they need to be. That's all I'm going to say. Joseph, what are your thoughts?
Well, one thing I can say about Rick Renteria, a positive, he was born on Christmas Day. So when we first hired him, that was one of the first things I noticed. I was like, oh, maybe he's the guy that's going to lead us to the World Series. But come to find out, he was just a short-term solution to our carryover, which was our next manager, Joe Madden. And I believe the same thing will happen with you guys. He's just a short-term solution for your carryover. And as Shawn was saying on Monday, the Ozzy watch is on. Everybody got Ozzy on speed dial right now. So trust me, there will be a managerial change if things keep going the way it is. And you guys, you probably need it. It can actually probably, light a fire under the team, like Shawn was saying on Monday. Now, will Rick Hahn do it? Will he listen to us? I don't know. But I believe, like Shawn was saying on Monday, that Ozzy will be a perfect fit for a short-term situation like right now.
I don't even know, honestly, if it's about will Rick Hahn listen to us? Here's where I stand on that. I feel like it's more about look at the empirical evidence that's in front of you and make your judgment call on that, because you can't make your choices based on what fans say, even though we're looking at it because there's that energy, that passion. You know what I mean? You have to look at what he's managed to do with what he has. And my thing is this, I'm actually going to say this. People are like, really? I'm like, yeah, really. Don't bother to get rid of him this season. Let this play out. Let this be what it is. Let him see this is an abbreviated, a truncated season. See what he can do, because expectation is, well, when we were saying 60 games in 66 days, to be honest, the COVID situation is going to probably expand the MLB season a little bit longer, because games may get delayed like we're seeing with the Marlins, and that impacts other teams. So I think the season is going to, if it makes it, it's going to stretch beyond 66 days. Let him take this. To me, this was a developmental season. So the growing pains that I'm seeing right now, I anticipated this was going to be an issue. The pitching staff was the issue. Remember, we said it wasn't the hitting. The hitting has tried to pull the pitching staff out of the holes they've jumped into, but you can only do so much every night. But the pitching staff was my issue. What did I say? Ray Lopez, put up or get rid of his ass. So you know what? You've got enough starts in this season to show me that you're worth being in this starting rotation. Giolito, be the ace that everybody thinks that you are. I said this the other day. You put him on any other squad and he's not an ace. I'll say this. On the Dodgers, he ain't an ace. On the Cubs, he ain't an ace, because aces show up and pitch. And when everybody was trying to give him a pass on that first outing, I said, well, Kyle Hendricks went out and nailed that with his perfect eyebrows. I was like, so why are we giving Giolito a pass? Because an ace shows up and pitches. And what happens? Keuchel comes out and gives you that inning. And what did Maya say last year? Call Keuchel. I was screaming that all year. I'm like, get this ace guy on your staff while he's still available. So we've got some pitching issues, but this is the season to work out the kinks. That's when it's all said and done.
Here's the issue with that, Maya, and here's one of my biggest pet peeves with Renteria. Okay, Lucas Giolito had some amazing chemistry with James McCann. Mm-hmm. Okay, James McCann was, he credited James McCann for the phenomenal season he had. Mm-hmm. Why is he not catching Lucas Giolito? And you know what? I could give a rat's ass about the fact that you signed Yasmani Grandal. Okay, Yasmani Grandal was a good catcher, but he does not have the chemistry with Lucas Giolito. If you want Lucas Giolito to have the success, okay, because it worked for you, Joe, it worked for you guys with John Lester and David Ross. Okay, that's his personal catcher. He feels confident. John Lester felt confident every time when he was behind the plate. That's his dude. This is, first of all, I mean, not just Giolito. Look at the strides that Dylan Cease made last year. Okay, with James McCann behind the plate. So. Now these are the guys that they need to feel comfortable with the catcher. How many times did Lucas Giolito say he did not shrug off James McCann? Whatever he threw down is what he threw. So now you're not putting here. Now we have the same thing that we have with the Bears. You're not putting your players in the best position to be successful, and that pisses me off. If this guy, and pitchers are like kickers, okay, they are a little weird out there, but they need certain things. You give them what they need. And James McCann is exactly what Lucas Giolito and I think Dylan Cease need. Do not put that, hey, Yasmani, you can catch the other three. You can catch the other three.
But okay.
But you need that. You need those guys, because if it works, if this can get you the best, put you in the best position to have a good outing from your pitcher, then that's what you have, especially in a 60-game season.
Joseph, let me ask you this. What's your thoughts on this? Okay, here's my thought about that situation, because I process it exactly the same way. I'm thinking that Renteria just didn't make the decision just to not put Giolito with McCann. I think a conversation was had. And here's the other thing why I think it might have been had. Last year when they acquired Grandal, Giolito went on record talking about how he sat down with Grandal, was talking to him, trying to get his energy about being on a team like the Brewers and being a winning squad. You know what I'm saying? Like he was trying to connect with him. Right. So I'm wondering, I'm willing to give it a question mark. If this is something they were trying to kick the tires on just to see if it could work. Because Giolito, I saw the interview and he was like, I'm super excited to work with Grandal. As a pitcher, I get that, to see to pick his brain. So I was wondering if seeing that is the reason why we saw this initial shift. But if it don't fit, don't force it. What's your thoughts on that, Joseph?
It's just like when you're dating, you want to be compatible. That's number one. Number two, when it comes to adding a huge free agent like Grandal, number one, you have to ask this question, okay? Is it going to mess up the chemistry? Number two, this is very similar to the Miguel Montero situation. Remember, he had the ability to frame pitches. And with McCann and Giolito, Giolito needed McCann in the back of in the backfield where he can actually frame his pitches, call a good game, and then have a ebb and flow to the flow of the game. So at the end of the day, the White Sox, if you're trying to win now, you have to do everything that it takes to win, which is put the best lineup out there. You probably could have DH Grandal. You probably could have did that and added McCann in the lineup and then let him catch the game and then use Grandal as a hitter. So there's all type of creative ways you could have flipped that. It's just a suggestion, but I know that the ability to frame pitches does make a difference when it comes to calling games. That definitely made a huge difference for the Cubs in 2016 because, like with Wilson Contreras, he couldn't frame pitches. Even though he can hit, he can knock the ball out of the park, but he didn't have the ability to frame pitches. Mm-hmm. And if you can do that, that can actually add depth to your pitching staff. That can make a bad pitcher look average. You know what I mean?
That's true. And this is kind of an experimental season. And the thing is, it can be because of the kind of season that it is. So let's be honest. Maybe there was, I found it hard to believe that Renteria just forced Grandal on Giolito because the pitchers like their catchers. I really believe that conversation was explored to see if it was something that could work. But maybe you shouldn't have done it the first game. You know what I'm saying? Maybe you should have stuck with what works. And then maybe as the season rolled out, then tried it out at some other point of time. Probably would have been a better idea at the approach. So I don't think it was meant to be, we're paying him and this is what we want. Because I remember Giolito was kind of excited about it. So maybe they figured, let's try it out. And that's kind of how I see that decision. Now they got to go back and say, maybe that wasn't a good idea. Let's go back to McCann with you. And maybe we can try this out down the road.
Next year?
No. You want to try it out now. But here's the thing. You want to figure out in this season what works and what don't work. So this is if you're going to take risk, if you're going to be absolutely like just off the chain and do things you've never done before. Because remember, we said the teams that are going to struggle or not maybe going to rise to the top like we think they might are the teams that have things they're trying to figure out. The Sox are still trying to figure some things out. Let this be your figure it out season. So then you know exactly what you need in the off season and what you have to get rid of as well.
Hey, Maya, can I ask you this question? Mm-hmm. With the short turnaround, do you believe there's a short margin of error to make all these adjustments? It's kind of similar to the Bears situation where once they eliminated preseason, now they're going to have to make these mistakes during the regular season. So now the season is here. You had all that time to prepare. You had every day during COVID-19 to prepare your team for these type of situations. You should have knew about that in spring training. You see what I mean? Like that chemistry right there, that falls on the coach. He has to make that decision, that executive decision to say, I know we got Grandal, but hey, Rick, listen here. We're trying to win ball games at the end of the day. So let's throw McCann as the starting catcher. Maybe we can DH Grandal, and then we have to sit one of our guys, But hey, now you guys are 1-4, and time is running out. So it's kind of like, hey, we got.
It's interesting because I will say this: spring training would have been the time that Giolito and Grandal could have connected, and that piece was taken away. So let's be honest. You got to try it out in the season. There is no if, buts, and ands about it. So that part was taken away. So they do have to try it in the season. I just don't know that I would have tried it the home opener. You know what I mean? I might have worked that. I would have let Giolito get into his flow. Right. And McCann is his flow. And then at some game, switch out Grandal because McCann's bat has been, it's nice. You know what I mean? Put him in as a DH, and use him that way. I just don't think the opening game was the best idea. And I'll be honest, you already know I'm like lukewarm on Lucas Giolito. I'm lukewarm on him. So I was like, see, told you. But see, and I don't know that Rick Hahn was forcing it on Renteria. I think it was a choice they thought was okay. Because look at it this way. You look at Grandal as being a veteran catcher. So you feel like he has the ability to call the game, to work with Giolito. And here's the thing. It doesn't mean that he can't, but they lost that time. Of course, you could have been like other people and just got together. And not White Sox. Plenty of people got together and worked out on their own accord. Had nothing to do with the team. So remember, it's a small group. So you could still have gatherings. You just couldn't do large things. You couldn't do team things. So they could have decided, let's maybe get together a couple times and just pitch, throw, let's talk, tell me about your philosophy, tell me what, you know what I'm saying? They could have done that and they didn't choose to do that. So again, I don't think that Rick Hahn forced this on Renteria, and I don't think Renteria thought it was a bad idea, because I think he had a lot of faith that this could work because of Grandal's history. So I'm going to just chalk it up. Giolito, if you look like that twice, you're going to be so far away from my circle of trust because you're not even in the vicinity. If this was a target, he's not even on the outside circle. He's not for me. So I don't do the buy-in. And we're going to see what happens from there. So yes, questionable choice, but I don't think it was done as this is what we're doing. I think they wanted to try it out. I
agree with you, but I do think it was because Resmani Grandal was a big signing. So you and I are different. So you know what? How would the perception is? How would it look? Is this is our big free agent signing, and he's not in the opening day lineup behind the plate? I think, and they gave him a lot of money. But for me, it's chemistry. What worked for Lucas Giolito? And like you said, I agree with you completely. Put McCann first, and then once he gets confidence, then you can put him catching Grandal catching Lucas Giolito. Once he gets some confidence, have him get a win or 2 or 3. Say, okay, boom, now let's try it, because what if McCann gets hurt? And then he has to pitch to Grandal. You follow me? But put them in the best position to be successful. And this is a recurring theme now with some of our managers and coaches throughout the city, not putting your players in the best position to be successful, and it's very frustrating when it's clear as day for some people, and for them, again, I personally think that it's the money issue. Okay, he was a big free agent signing. They gave him X amount of millions of dollars. He's got to be behind the plate opening day. If you're trying to win, especially when every game equals 2.7 games. Yeah, you can't. You have to go with who your pitcher, your ace, feels comfortable with.
But here's the thing. I don't know, Shawn, that I'm going to fully say that Lucas wasn't okay with this because of how much he talked about looking forward to having him on the staff. There was a couple interviews like that. So this is why I don't think he was force-fed it. Even though he knew McCann and him had great chemistry and he worked, I think he might have been open to the idea. You know what I mean? I don't think – because if he would have been like, no, I really need McCann. Here's the thing. Rick Hahn seems like he's a pretty level-headed guy. Seriously, he really does. And there's plenty of people for Grandal to catch. Real talk. There really is. So with that being said, if Lucas would have been adamant that he wanted McCann behind the plate, I think that piece would have happened. I don't think they would have given him pushback on that because his success equates into a win. That chemistry equates into a win. And he looked like hot garbage. Oh, my goodness. And you're right. They can't have, you can't give up like every run in the first inning and then everything settles down. But the damage has been done. Dylan Cease had that same MO last year. And I was like, again? I'm like, can we give a return to sender on that? Because I'm not feeling him either. I wasn't feeling him last year. Everyone's like, Maya, you're being too premature. And I said, you know something? There's something about pitchers. And pitchers are like, if there's any position on a baseball team that I have a love affair with, it's pitchers. Like, that's my love. And either you got it.
Looks like Maya froze a little bit.
You got it.
She's back.
No, you got it or you don't. You know what I'm saying? So with that being said, I'm not convinced that Dylan Cease, because Dylan Cease had some good starts last year to look better. But now I'm going to have to hear conversations like, well, you know what? They didn't have spring training. Now it's COVID. I'm going to hear a host of excuses. But the problem is I'm watching the rest of Major League Baseball, and I'm watching people show up and perform at that level, and they also were in the same circumstance. So excuses aren't going to work for me. Dylan Cease, I need him to stop giving up everything he got and grabbing ankles in the first inning. I'm serious. He's got to stop. He has to stop.
Shawn and Maya, can I ask you guys this question? I know you guys were just mentioning, by adding Grandal in the offseason, it seems like to me, like you guys were saying, they were trying to show off that shiny toy, okay? But if you look at it this way, who did you get your only win with? McCann, correct?
Yeah.
So, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Let's just stick to that and then you when it comes to the new guy, you got to bring him in slowly. Even though he's the new shiny toy, but you kind of want to bring him in. It's almost similar to the Jason Hayward situation. We knew Dexter Fowler was our leadoff hitter. He was the guy that set the table for us. Nobody was touching Dexter's spot. I don't care if Jason Hayward was making $600 million a year. Nobody was touching Dexter's spot. But he had to find his spot in the lineup. He had to get in where he fit in. So it's the same way with Grandal. He can't just come in. And I'm not saying that he's kind of self-proclaiming himself as the man, but I'm saying that he has to get in where he fits in. If we need you at DH, hey, come through in the clutch. If we need you to catch on our 3 and 4 pitchers, then come through in the clutch. But right now, we're trying to win ball games. and we have a short amount of time to do that.
Here's the problem. There's no respect for James McCann. Okay. Because what he did last year on a 1-year deal, okay, on a 1-year deal, he only became an all-star catcher. Okay. He only became an all-star catcher, and obviously, that has a lot to do with the offensive side of the ball. They're not going to make you an all-star catcher because you frame great pitches. Okay. They're not going to do that. It's the offensive side of the ball is really what people they're going to vote for you for. Okay. In addition to his bat was pretty good. In addition to him controlling and having a good handle on that staff. Mm-hmm. That is what made him good. And now because you had Yasmani Grandal, you're like, okay, well, we got a guy who's who has numbers. This guy he was a 1-year wonder, so I get it, I understand it. He was a 1-year wonder, and you don't know what this guy can do. But still, to me, and even if Lucas didn't push back, and I agree with you, man, he probably could have said, hey, you know what, I'm excited about it. But when you know that chemistry there from the manager standpoint, sometimes you got to save the players from themselves. Sometimes you got to save them from themselves. Mm-hmm. Say, hey, listen, I agree with you. I can't wait for you to work with Grandal, but you know what? I want you. The chemistry that you and McCann had last year was great. Let's get a couple wins under your belt, and before we start changing some things, and let's go from there. If Ricky was the manager that we need him to be, he would have said, hey, listen, what did you say, Joe? If it ain't broke, don't fix it. And you had a Cy Young first half of the season last year, and then you cooled down the second half. But that first half of the season, man, you were unhittable. And I think I want to kind of see if we can duplicate that again with you and McCann before we switch. That's just me, but who knows? Well,
I agree.
Let's go to the next top of the morning topics. Next top of the morning topics: the Cubs beat the Reds. Next top of the morning topic. Oh no, I'm kidding. We can talk about them next.
But see, now here's a flip side of this story. The difference. Now, here's what's interesting: how you can just tell about how having things in place make a difference. So David Ross steps in as a first-year manager, but he's stepping into a team that's established. And the talent is there and they know their role. So he's not having to kind of do this figuring out things, tinkering too much, because he knows what works from being part of the team, but also having things that are already ready to go. The only thing they have to figure out that's going to work would be the leadoff hitting thing. And so far, not a detriment. Now, mind you, if the Cubs go further, David Ross is going to look brilliant just because. But he also inherited a team that knows exactly what their roles are. Hendricks, I like Kyle Hendricks. That's an ace. That makes sense to me. But everybody on the Cubs is playing at that level with a chip on their shoulder. I feel like they're playing with a chip on their shoulder because everyone's kind of giving them the cold shoulder, so to speak, coming into this season.
But you also have guys who've been there and done that before, Maya. I know you talk about Kyle Hendricks in relation to Dylan Cease. Dylan Cease hasn't done it yet. All right, he had good starts. All right, he had good innings after giving up big innings. You're talking about Kyle Hendricks as a guy who pitched Game 7 on the road in the World Series. He's done it. He's been there. He's done that.
That's not what I'm talking about. Kyle Hendricks, when he was brought up to pitch, was smoking it. He was killing it. That's what I'm saying. He was there. Some people you bring up and it happens. When they brought up Chris Sale, boom, you knew he was the dude. Dylan Cease does not have the it factor. I'm not saying he can't be in a starting rotation, but he's not. I will mark this day. He will not be as good as you think he is. Now, if he makes me into a liar, I'll take that. I'll own it. I'll eat crow. If he makes me wrong, I'll eat crow.
I think Dylan Cease will be a really, really good number 2, number 3.
Yep, but he's not
gonna be the number 1 guy that you want. But a really good.
No, and let's not get it twisted. I never said he would be number 1, number 2. I think he's a solid. A highest he would be a 2, depending on the staff. But I think he's a 3 or a 4, and I think he's a lockdown 3 or 4. His problem is that he gives up. He has one bad inning, and after the one bad inning, he settles down. So if they can eliminate that one bad inning, then I'm okay with it. But that's a big if. And that's a big if.
It's the package that you got, though. That's why if Dylan Cease if he's a great number 3 or a really good number 2, you still win the deal because you got Eloy. You know what I mean? Because it was a package deal. So whatever Dylan Cease does is all gravy, in my opinion. Because you got
I disagree with that. Don't be trying to put sugar on that. Anyways, but because here's a problem though, because pitching is at this point is the Sox Achilles heel. We have lots of bats in the lineup. Don't get me wrong. Eloy is not even going to turn out to be the best of the best in the lineup. So
I thought the bullpen and the rotation. Well, the bullpen's fine. I thought the rotation was going to be your strength.
No,
that's coming in. That's what I'm
Too many questions for Lopez.
You never heard me say that, and I'm gonna tell you
why. I did. I
was
thinking you were going to have some struggles early with you were going to come together in the line with the lineup. You're going to have some struggles early, but that pitching staff was going to keep you in the games. But because Giolito should be at another level. You know what I mean? Because you have a Dallas Keuchel who could shut shit down. It's you know what I mean. That's why I thought your strength.
I'm gonna tell you the difference when you know what an ace looks like, because I've been watching baseball games like crazy. Everyone knows my side, team of the Dodgers. We get down like that. Walker Buehler is the stuff. And this kid is young. That's an ace. I'm going to say something I thought I'd never say after I watched him pitch the other day. He's already surpassed Kershaw. I was like, this kid is the light. He is the truth, the light, and the way. He came out of bad. I'm gonna tell you something. I watched him and I said, that's what an ace looks like. And the thing is, I'm a pitching person, so all I do is I go around the league and just watch pitchers. That's why I'm telling you, Giolito ain't it. And if you put him on another squad, he's not an ace. And we got Dylan Cease. I'm comparing him about people who are equally within his class. Nope.
Are Giolito, in your opinion, are Giolito and Cease comparable? Are they compatible?
No. Giolito is clearly better. I mean, he's clearly better. But I'm going to tell you who to keep your eye on. And we were talking the Cubs. Why don't we get back to Sox? We'll talk with that with Jason. See how we just went right back to that BS? But back to the Cubs. Hendricks looked great. Lester. The energy is there. I'm going to tell you something. People questioning if they could be in the playoffs and not the best in their division, it doesn't even matter that they've been there. I'm seeing them play with a chip on their shoulder. And by the way, everybody, every time the Cubs play, just stand up and applause when they say Javi Baez. Just go. Because he is showing you that he is the glue. He is the fit on that squad. But we already knew that for a couple seasons. But I think this will be the season you will see Javi's game even evolve more than it already has.
You know, I was talking to my buddy the other day, and I was saying, if they win, it's you just point the spotlight right to David Ross. If they win, if whatever success they have, they go deep into the playoffs. It's, in my opinion, the spotlight has to go to David Ross, because look what he did with a team that was underachieving for the past 2 years. If they get there, it's only been 5 games, but if they get there, I think David Ross should be strongly considered for manager of the year.
I don't know if I can do that, because that's like the Tony Dungy, John Gruden thing. It isn't like he isn't like
won without Ross. What I think is,
I'm not going to go with that.
And he takes them back to that particular point,
right?
Then yeah, because with they hit their peak, their apex with Madden, and then they were downhill every year after that. They started to decline, and if David Ross can get them back up to that mountaintop, then yeah. It's not as he finished off a job that Madden didn't do. Madden did the job.
He did the job, right?
Where they did,
and then he corrected.
They were on a steady decline, a noticeable decline, and for him to get those guys back up to that level, I think I'll put it this way: I'll give him a hell of a lot more credit than I'm giving him now, and he would definitely deserve it.
But I mean, he's not inheriting. I mean, look, honestly. Sometimes everything has a shelf life, and Madden had a shelf life in Chicago. But you also have to take in mind, you trade away Dexter Fowler, which means your leadoff guy was gone. Issues, you had different issues throughout.
Russell, that was another issue.
You had injuries. Chris and Riz, Brian and Rizzo weren't always healthy. You had a lot of things that were always kind of in the mix that were affecting the outcome. But I think it was time for Madden to go. I didn't have a problem with that. But I'm not going to sit here and say, in this particular abbreviated season, everyone agrees. The teams that are going to excel, that probably make it to the playoffs in the World Series, are teams that are already established veteran teams that don't have question marks. So I can't look at this season. Let's say if they go deep, they're going to make the playoffs. I can't imagine that they wouldn't unless they have a ton of injuries. But my thing is, I can't look at this season and think, I think David Ross is absolutely amazing. No, I need a full season. I need you to work and show me what you do under duress when you're coaching a full, very long MLB season. Then I can tell you how good I think you are. But this is opportunity right for the picking right now. So I'm not going to discredit him, because for him, I think this is a great way to cut your teeth. A shortened season, this is great for him.
And go ahead, Joseph.
I had a question for all you guys. You know, I kind of noticed that our downfall started, like you said, once we lost Dexter Fowler.
Mm-hmm.
And David Ross retired. See, this is what people forget. Mm-hmm. Rossi was the leader of that team.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, hands down.
They were all babies. All those guys were little. They were cubs. You know what I mean? Like, we didn't think they were cubs.
They were all little Clarks.
Little
Clark.
You know, I'm dressed like Clark right now.
You know, Clark with no pants. So here's the deal. You know, Grandpa Rossi was the babysitter. You know, he was like, hey, you got to be in at 10 o'clock tonight. You over here. You know, make sure that you clean up after yourself. You know, he was just treating them like they were his sons. So they were missing that. Now with Joe Madden, on the other hand, he was like the irresponsible uncle. You know, when you have to babysit,
the drunk uncle,
and the kids are jumping all on the counter, and then you walk in, you was like, "What happened? I thought you were supposed to be babysitting." Mm-hmm. You know, and they're all over the place. To make a long story short, now that Ross is back, that influence is back. Even though he's not on the field, but his influence is there. Now, we are remaining humble as the Cubs. We're not trying to get ahead of ourselves. But at the end of the day, David Ross has a simple game plan. Keep it simple, okay? None of that cute stuff. None of that, you know, how Joe Madden was trying to be fancy. Mm-hmm. All right, let's put gloves, throw this guy on his side. That can wear on you after a while. One time, and I'm going to say this, I know you guys have to continue. Before we hired Joe Madden, I was actually at a Chicago Wolves game, and I met a young lady from Tampa Bay. And she says, I said, we just got Joe Madden. She said, yeah, I'm from Tampa Bay. She said, you're going to like Joe Madden, but he's going to wear on you. So I was like, what do you mean by that? He's like, he's going to he does a lot of crazy stuff that this doesn't make sense. You will see. So I was like, well, I'm happy. He's like, he's going to get to the World Series, but he's going to wear on you. So I didn't know what she meant by that until now. Like, sometimes he tried to get too cute. He tried to get too fancy. And David Ross is a no-nonsense guy. And I've noticed some games when Joe Madden tried to get too cute, Rossi would always take over and say, hey, we're not doing that. Even though I know you want to do that, but coach, please let me call this one, okay? Give it to me. Let me handle it.
Joseph, don't you feel – because I watch every game wire to wire, every game.
So hey, Ivan, do me a favor. Let's take a quick break. And you got your point. Let's take a quick break. We're a little behind on the break, so let's take a quick break. And on the other side of the break, we have more top of the morning topics. We're going to continue with our Cubs talk. We'll keep it right here. So don't go anywhere, folks. Keep it locked right here. Shawn and Maya in the morning on SportsZone Chicago.
Quicken Loans presents the Sports Flash, driven by Jeep on 1330 and 95.9 The Zone.
Lorenzen glancing back at Rizzo, and the pitch on the way to Baez. Swinging a fly ball towards center field and deep. Back goes the center fielder to the wall. That ball is gone. Home run, Javier Baez. His second of the game, and the Cubs have opened it up and lead 8-3.
Cubs radio with the call. Javier Baez with a pair of homers. He doubled and scored on a dive to the plate. Alex Mills went 6 solid innings, and the Cubs extended their strong opening streak. 8-5 the final over Cincinnati. Chicago's won 4 of its first 5 games. The Cubs have scored first in each of them. Mills held Cincinnati to 2 hits over 6 innings. Continuing the strong early season play of Chicago's starters, the Cubs pitchers have a 1.80 ERA and a 131 opponent batting average so far. Blue Emu promises no chill, no burn, no odor, just what you need to soothe tired muscles and joints. The Sports Flash is driven by Jeep. Chuck Sanders, 1330, 95.9 The Zone.
Indeed knows you've got big goals for your business, and we understand hiring is a crucial part of that. You need to hire people who will make a real impact. Indeed can help you find those important hires faster while paying only for what you need without any long-term contracts, thanks to our super flexible payment options. Start finding your important hire today with a free $75 credit for your first job post and get in front of more quality candidates. Go to Indeed.com/high impact. That's Indeed.com/high impact. Terms and conditions apply.
Hey, save that bee. We need him.
Did you know pollinators are more than just honeybees? Did you know 1 in 3 bites of food is made possible by pollinators? That's why Prairie View A&M Cooperative Extension is prepping for pollinators this summer. Identify your backyard pollinators, take photos, and plant the flowers that help them thrive. Visit agnearme.com. That's agnearme.com to download our pollinator prep guide today. Let's get prepping.
Welcome back to Shawn and Maya in the morning on SportsZone Chicago. We are in the middle of our top of the morning segments. Joseph and Ivan, you guys were talking Cubs for a moment. Go ahead, pick up where you guys left off.
Yeah, so Joseph, I just wanted to, because what I've seen in the first 5 games, and like I said, wire to wire, I'm glued to the TV because it's finally sports, but it's the Cubs. There's a sense of focus and discipline that I don't know. This is just my opinion, that wasn't there in the past 2 seasons. You could see it. Mm-hmm. You could see it within the team. You can see the focus within the team. You know what I mean? That they're not doing too much. Like they're not doing too many antics on the diamond. They're not. It seems like a 1-unit focus now. You know what I mean? Instead of kind of everybody's everywhere doing their own thing. You know, we're a team, but everybody's kind of on their own plane. Right. It just seems to me that crazy Uncle Joe had the crazy Uncle Joe left the playpen open and everybody was running amok. And now that Grandpa Rossi's here, and I said it before too, there's a sense of respect that you can see the players have for David Ross. That I can't explain it. I just see that there's a difference within these first 5 games. There's a difference between how the players conduct themselves and how you could. The proof is at the plate. I think the proof is at the plate because they've been very inconsistent to start the year in the past 2 seasons, and now this year they've been consistent. And within the first 5 games, they've been consistent. They've hit with runners on. They've hit they've hit for power. They've hit in situations. They've hit singles. They hit doubles. They've done their job.
Right. How dare you say they hit for Chili Davis was talking about situational hitting, and everybody was like, "What?" But maybe.
I'm
joking.
No, right. But I agreed with Chili. I agreed with Chili. But maybe it's just the focus. Maybe it's just the presence of David Ross, somebody who demands the attention.
Let me tell you what the issue is. Let me tell you what the issue is. You have a manager who's holding him accountable. You have a manager as old school as he is, and he's saying, "Hey, this is what works, tried and true." Like, okay, even some of the flashiness in the field, okay, he's about fundamentals. Mm-hmm. Okay, if you stick to the fundamentals, you can add the flair and the showmanship on top of the fundamentals. Right. But there are certain things that are tried and true in this game. Okay, but if you want, batting practice is one of them. I feel like doing it. Maybe I don't. How it was under Joe Madden. There are certain things when running in the sports, in the business, in a marriage, in a relationship, anything. There's certain things that's tried and true. Okay, and the fundamentals are it. Right. David Ross has got these guys back to the fundamentals, and he asks no quarter and gives no quarter. This is what you are paid millions and millions of dollars to do. You are not going to skip batting practice. You're not going to skip fielding practice. He holds them accountable. He held them accountable as a player, and now he's even got more authority as their manager. He's holding them accountable. I mean, look at all the coaches except for Madden that won championships in this town. They were all guys who demanded the best of you. We'll go back to Mike Ditka. He was a hardcore son of a gun, now he's a little crazy, but that's another story. Okay. You have Ozzie Guillen, the guy who ran everything. You had Phil Jackson, the guy who ran everything, but he was still a little chill. But Phil still ran that team. Okay. Joe Quenneville. Tell me Joe Quenneville didn't run that Blackhawks organization.
But think about it too. You just gave a good example. I think Quenneville and Madden, there's something to be said about how you can never question that Quenneville was not a good coach. I mean, you look at all the hardware they got because of it. But at some point, I think something eventually began to change for the team. Now, mind you, I also think it's about trades and, the Blackhawks at one point dealt too many players away. They gotten so comfortable.
They're hamstrung by the salary cap. Yeah, they had to get rid of people.
But they'd always had great success with the next man up was really the next man up. They always had young talent that could come in and fill because they had Taze and Kane and Duncan Keith, and it was all working. You know what I mean? And I think we see a very similar situation with the Cubs. I just think that Madden, and this often, in baseball, it's already hard to repeat as it is. So I feel like a lot of things, it was a perfect storm for change because I think Madden's style of managing had kind of run its course. But it was effective because it achieved the goal. But I don't think it's something that could always keep you moving forward necessarily. Right. Then you look at all the things that were changing within the organization, Fowler gone, injury here, things of that nature. And then you also have to put that last component into it. Their division got better.
Right. And to add what you guys are saying, in spite of the different dynamics, I believe this is what I noticed with the Cubs team, because I watched that 2016 from start to finish. One thing I noticed after the World Series, they got very cocky. Okay, they got very cocky. They were getting very arrogant and cocky, and teams started to notice that. And once you start getting arrogant and cocky, as if, even though they won, and they, rightfully so, they done something that no sports team, it was the longest sports drought in sports history. So they feel like, hey, we're the kings of the world. But coming into that next season, they weren't humble at all. They were like, hey, we're going to do what we always do. We can turn it on when we want to turn it on. You see what I mean? And that accountability wasn't there. And it started in that 2017 season. And Joe Madden kind of let them just do what they want to do. It was kind of self-governance. But now, with David Ross at the helm, who's almost like a player coach, yes, he's going to micromanage a little bit. Also, he's going to allow some self-governance. He's going to allow you to hold yourself accountable. So at the end of the day, let's put all the egos away. 2016 was 2016. Now you're in a new era. What happened 4 years ago? Hey,
and
nobody remembers.
Yeah, and it's a risky, it was a risky proposition to me with David Ross. I said, because even though he was respected in the clubhouse as a player, that doesn't mean it was going to translate into a manager, because he didn't have that experience. And at one point we were peer to peer. You know what I mean? Now it's not peer to peer. You're my boss. But the good thing is, it seems like there was a certain amount of respect with him. That's not an issue so far. And I can't imagine, he doesn't seem like he would take no BS from nobody anyways. He just strikes me as that person. But the thing I think what works for them right now, and I think everybody said it without saying it, is that David Ross has taken them back to old school baseball. Mm-hmm. It's not about sabermetrics. It's about the fundamentals of what you do when you play Little League. You know what I'm saying? Just that we're focused on baseball and not all the extra things, the stats and this and all the flash that comes with, sometimes the sabermetric side, which really can elevate people when you start talking about, their war and things of this nature. I think he pulled them back in and said, this is just about playing baseball. Bottom line, we're too talented as a team to not do better than what has happened in the last 2 seasons. For whatever reason, it doesn't matter. We're moving forward.
That's right. And they've been underachieving. Like I said, I told my brother, I said, look, between 2015, 2016, I know Theo kept saying, we're looking to win this thing in the next 4 years. When 2016 came, I said, the time is now. There's no guarantee you're going to win it in 4 years. You have to win it when you have the opportunity to win it. And Theo made the greatest move ever. He went out and traded for Aroldis Chapman, which was perfect. That worked out well, because that was like the cherry on top for us. Right now, we don't have that dominant closer. Right now, we don't have that perfect leadoff hitter. We have a lot of leadoff hitters by committee. I'm liking what Jason Kipnis is adding to the lineup. He's actually hitting for doubles, triples, and singles. Even though
Chicago's very own
places. He's still
Chicagoland's very own.
What's that?
It's Chicagoland's very own Jason Kipnis.
Yeah,
that's Chicagoland area.
Right. Yeah. That's right.
Yeah, he wanted to play here. He wanted to play here, even though he lost to us in the World Series. But he wanted to play here, and he kind of got at us in the World Series. He pretty tore us off pretty good. And then in addition to Kipnis, you got Steven Souza who's rebounding. I know he tore his knee up and everything, but after rehabilitation and going through all those mental challenges, he's back in the lineup and he's producing. So I'm like, wow, who are these new guys? I've never seen these guys before. We got a leadoff hitter, situational hitter, possibly World Series MVP if things would have turned a different way for the Cubs in Jason Kipnis. So at the end of the day, I'm not going to get too excited. We're going to stay humble, take it one inning at a time. And I believe, like I said, if they keep producing the way they are, you'll see them somewhere in the playoffs in the near future.
Well, listen, next time we got to move on. We're going to have a lot more baseball conversation in the 10:30 segment. So the next top of the morning topic, this one's a huge one. It's going to lead us into our first guest. Bears nose tackle Eddie Goldman opts out of the 2020 season. Guys, this leaves a huge hole in a defensive front for the Bears. Your thoughts, Maya? Man, it's tough, and you can't get mad at anybody. There's a legitimate reason for people not wanting to play.
Okay.
But man, it's a big blow.
Here's the thing. It's his right to do it.
Yes,
I think it's a little premature right now. for anyone in football to opt out. I think it's a little premature. Because Major League Baseball, obviously, we've seen the first snafu with it, obviously, with the fact that there's a team that got hit, obviously, with COVID-19. And let's also keep in perspective with the Marlins that they're right now in Florida is the hotbed of COVID, and the Miami-Dade County area and the Broward County area is exploding. So they're in the midst of literally a surge, a wave in Florida. So they're not in a bubble, unlike the NBA, you know what I'm saying, doing like a bubble. So far, I mean, with the NBA, it's fingers crossed. We don't know yet. But the bottom line is I think it's a little premature because between MLB and the NBA, NFL might figure out some things to do to be able to have a season. Smart move not doing the preseason. I get it. But I think it's premature for players to opt out right now because you can learn from what other leagues have done to do it better and to create better safety measures. So, but it's his choice.
It is premature. And I think that, but I also have to check out when the date is that you have to let your teams know. I need to, we get that information because if he's up against the date, the deadline, then I can see it. But I do agree with you. There's see what the NBA does. See what there's other things. But then also you don't know his personal life. If he's got a young kid, if his wife. I know a few people have opted out because they have babies. Infants. 2, 4, 6, 8 months. And or the wives or girlfriends or fiancés are pregnant, and so I can see that. But I do agree with you without knowing his whole backstory and why.
Right.
I think it's premature. But if it comes out like he's got a kid on the way,
right,
then I'm like, okay, well then, yeah, I get it. But you know what? It's tough, like I said, because now we got a big, literally and figuratively, big hole to fill.
Yeah, that's true.
That's really true. That's so. But you gotta look at it this way: it's they know. They now know. So maybe, I guess we can look at it this way for the Bears. He didn't make them wonder if he was coming back. Like, hey, guys, I'm not coming back. So now, you got to figure out what to do in my absence. So now they can get ready for the next man up. You know what I'm saying? Okay, he's not coming back. So even though it seems premature to want to opt out, from an organization standpoint, it now means they can start game planning accordingly because he's not returning. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah, he gave them enough time. And if anything, that's the best thing, of this whole situation. He gave them enough time to search for a replacement. Okay, are you going to do it in-house? Are you going to go after a free agent? Obviously you can't do it in the draft because the draft happened already. But right. you have options. You have time, and that's the most important thing. You have time to make the decision. So maybe by him doing it this early, that's the benefit of it. Okay, now you can go about it as opposed to, oh yeah, we play tomorrow. Guess what? I'm opting out.
Right.
And.
Right.
Out of respect for your teammates too. Out of respect for your teammates, you tell them this much in advance, because if I'm counting on you and you tell me the day before the season or a week before the season that you're not playing, I'm pissed. I'm pissed at you as a teammate. I'm pissed.
What will be interesting and what we can pay attention to right now as we're watching Major League Baseball attempt to struggle through this and not in a bubble, so to speak. You see the higher risk that exists not being in a bubble. Because obviously, like I said, the Marlins are in the midst of a wave in Florida, and it's bad. In their county, it's bad. So I'm not shocked that many of them had it. I was like, if you keep testing, you're going to find some more. I'm serious, because the proximity in the clubhouse is just there. So I'm not surprised at that. But now we can look at what happens bubble versus no bubble. Like we're going to see the NHL, so to speak, like, in a bubble. You know what I mean? So it'll be curious, the bubble versus no bubble, which then might end up telling us the bubble might be the way to go, limiting things and kind of isolating. But the problem with the bubble is that from an emotional and mental standpoint, it's very stressful on players. Whereas if I'm not in a bubble, I get to go home and at least have a semblance of normalcy when I go home. But when you're in the bubble, everything about your life is contained. We've seen players, you saw what happened with Lou Williams. He just over food. That's crazy. Seriously, over some chicken wings, but I'm kidding. It wasn't chicken wings.
Is like you have to understand, and this is the issue, because you got young millionaires who you can't tell them jack spit. Okay, I want to do this, I want to do that, and that's just being freaking selfish. Okay, that's being unequivocally selfish, because you understand this is not something that's happening to you. It's not something that's happening to your team. It's not something that's happening to a part of the country. This is something that's happening around the world. And so for you to be so freaking selfish to go get your chicken wings or your hot wings, whatever the hell it is you want to step out of the bubble, is extremely selfish, and it's very, very narcissistic. I want to do whatever the frick I want to do because I'm a millionaire. No, because people's lives are in danger. And this is the issue that we have with young athletes. I want to do what I want to do because I'm 26, I'm 24, 26 years old, and I'm making $15-20 million. And this is a younger generation when they're not looking at the big picture of it, because you know what, you bring that stuff back to one of your teammates, and what if they're asymptomatic and it kills their kid, your teammate, you know what I mean? So they're not thinking big picture, right? And that's the problem, is that you're not thinking big picture because you don't know who you go that's been exposed to it, and you don't know who these people that you exposed to it are taking it to and exposing.
I will tell you that from a standpoint of the bubble, it's probably the better idea because you're trying to contain and limit contact and exposure. It's probably the best way to do something. I just understand that it's complicated for people just to be to be in that silo that way, even though you are with your teammates, but that might get on your nerves after a while. Like, I'm looking at you 24/7 and now I'm tired of you. But so I can get how complicated it is, but now you see existing outside of a bubble, the risk that it brings and how instantly it impacted the Marlins, and then it also the Yankees, some of the games that were coming after that. So now it's got a domino effect by not having a bubble. So I think, it's something worthy of thought. I know the NFL probably is like, we don't want to do that because then, how do you pick where you play? You know what I'm saying? But it's something worthy of thinking about for safety standpoints, because it seems like it probably will give you another filter, a layer of safety that you didn't have if you don't have a bubble.
Right. And then it just shows you how important it is to be on one accord. If you send a memo out and you mandate it, hey, don't leave the bubble. Don't leave the bubble. Okay. 2, stop letting chicken wings and hamburgers get you in trouble. you don't want to give up your career.
I don't know. If we were in Chicago, I might leave the bubble for some Output grilled
Italian beef.
Because I'm telling you something. No. Output's little wings are the bomb. I might be like, Eddie. No, I'm just kidding.
Maybe outside, like come on,
I might think about it because their wings are like the bomb.
We got chicken wings for you.
But I get it. So you know what? It seems premature, but like we said, we don't know all the backstory to why he decided right now. Just like we didn't know the backstory to Kopech when he did it necessarily. You know what I mean?
Right.
So you know what? The Bears, hey, here's it is. Now you're being challenged. What do you have that's the next man up? Get ready.
The next man up, or who you go get. So go ahead.
Also, this can be a blessing in disguise for the Bears, because we go out and sign a free agent, right, to replace Eddie Goldman. Eddie Goldman decides, hey, you know what? Even though you added depth to the defensive line, can I come back, and add even more depth, to this defensive line? There's nothing wrong with adding another strong defensive piece to this already strong defensive unit. You see what I mean?
Well, you're right. You've freed up about $16 million in cap space, which is huge for the Bears.
Yeah.
Okay. So now you can go and get a rental, a 1-year deal, 1-year player. And if he does well, say, hey, listen, we're bringing him back, but now let's rework another deal, a long-term deal starting next year. We'll give you obviously less money, but per year, but a decent contract over time. So it's a good chance for us to go get another, as you said, another defensive lineman, a quality defensive lineman for a 1-year rental, and then see where it goes after that.
Good comment by Jason Palmer, who said the WNBA bubble is working because women are more disciplined, and they're not. And he's like, and they're not millionaires.
Yeah. What I tell you, I'm making X amount of money. Who are you telling? You can't talk to me. And that's the way a lot of young athletes are, and it's unfortunate. But when they think of themselves and themselves only, so
everybody's got a little Kanye in them. Can't tell me nothing.
Yeah,
a little Willie Beeman in them.
Hey, listen, we gotta take a break. But hey, Joseph, thank you very much. And I don't want to see you from that damn log cabin again, man. I'm jealous like a son of a gun. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding, Papa. Enjoy yourself. How much longer are you out there?
Oh man, I'll be out here until Saturday, man. I was able to from last.
Oh, you're gonna see him again on Friday.
Yeah, so Friday will probably be my last day from this.
You know what? When we do a segment, I'm gonna close my eyes. I'm like, and just talk, so I got to see yourself on the balcony.
I'm loving it out here, man. Love it.
Enjoy with the family, man, and we'll talk to you on Friday. Okay.
All right. God bless you guys. Peace.
Thanks a lot, buddy.
All right. Bye-bye.
God, that was Joseph Phillips from the Chicago Crusader. He's awesome, man. And yes, I am still jealous. I hope you don't think I was kidding. I'm jealous as a son of a gun. But I'm happy for him because there's nothing like getting away and just kind of recharging your batteries. Well, listen, we got to recharge our batteries. We got to take a quick break, and on the other side of the break, we're going to bring up Beth Mishler-Elmore. She's the Bears writer for Heavy.com, and her last article was on who the Bears could or should target now that Eddie Goldman has decided to opt out of the 2020 season. So Beth Mishler-Elmore on the other side of the break. Don't go anywhere, folks. Keep it locked right here. Shawn and Maya in the morning on SportsZone Chicago.
Quicken Loans presents the Sports Flash, driven by Jeep on 1330 and 95.9 The Zone.
Lorenzen glancing back at Rizzo, and the pitch on the way to Baez. Swinging a fly ball towards center field and deep. Back goes the center fielder to the wall. That ball is gone. Home run, Javier Baez. His second of the game, and the Cubs have opened it up and lead 8-3.
Cubs radio with the call. Javier Baez with a pair of homers. He doubled and scored on a dive to the plate. Alex Mills went 6 solid innings, and the Cubs extended their strong opening streak. 8-5 the final over Cincinnati. Chicago's won 4 of its first 5 games. The Cubs have scored first in each of them. Mills held Cincinnati to 2 hits over 6 innings. Continuing the strong early season play of Chicago's starters, the Cubs pitchers have a 1.80 ERA and a 131 opponent batting average so far. Blue Emu promises no chill, no burn, no odor, just what you need to soothe tired muscles and joints. The Sports Flash is driven by Jeep. Chuck Sanders, 1330, 95.9 The Zone.
Indeed knows you've got big goals for your business, and we understand hiring is a crucial part of that. You need to hire people who will make a real impact. Indeed can help you find those important hires faster while paying only for what you need without any long-term contracts, thanks to our super flexible payment options. Start finding your important hire today with a free $75 credit for your first job post and get in front of more quality candidates. Go to Indeed.com/high impact. That's Indeed.com/high impact. Terms and conditions apply.
Hey, save that bee. We need him.
Did you know pollinators are more than just honeybees? Did you know 1 in 3 bites of food is made possible by pollinators? That's why Prairie View A&M Cooperative Extension is prepping for pollinators this summer. Identify your backyard pollinators, take photos, and plant the flowers that help them thrive. Visit agnearme.com. That's agnearme.com to download our pollinator prep guide today. Let's get prepping.
Welcome back to Shawn and Maya in the morning on this Hump Day edition of Shawn and Maya in the morning. Man, it's a nice day, Maya. I'm loving this 80-degree weather all week. I'm loving it. I'm loving it.
I'm always a mid-80s is great to me. I don't need to be hot when I'm at home. Now I may leave someplace else to go be hot, but when I'm home, I can do between 85 and 89 is ideal weather to me. Because Saturday was like the best weather. I was like, this is perfect. The weather
how was it here? Because I was in Michigan.
It was beautiful. It was like, it was like upper 80s. It was just mild. There was a nice breeze. The evening was nice. Perfect weather. So I don't need to be too hot all the time.
Yeah, I was expecting it to be mid 90s. But then again, I knew it's always cooler by the lake. So even though I was on the other side of the lake in Michigan, I was like, it wasn't as hot as I expected it to be. Like last weekend when I was there, it was a lot hotter last weekend, but it was still sunny. It was still there's a nice little breeze this weekend. So I was wondering, how it was here in Chicago.
It was beautiful. I mean, I'm miles from the lake, and it was just perfect weather. So it probably might have been a little bit cooler in the city, I'm assuming, but it was still a great day. So yes, that's my kind of weather. Give me mid 80s anytime.
Okay, and that's what it's going to be the rest of the week. So good stuff.
Hey, before we jump into our next segment really quick, I want to piggyback off something they're doing on What's Up Cuz, which comes on Mondays at 6 p.m. with Jason and Lance. They're doing the SportsZone Chicago weekly poll question. And it's sponsored by the Chicago Crusader. So if you go to chicagocrusader.com, you can vote on what Chicago sports team do you think will win the next championship. So pretty much it's like, Bears, Blackhawks, White Sox, Sky. Funny enough, the Bulls were left out. That's how little faith nobody has. So yeah, go vote. It's one of our partnerships we have with the Chicago Crusader. And they put a poll question, you vote, and we'll, kind of maybe on Friday you can touch base and say, hey, this is where the numbers are at. You know what's funny? I bet you it'll change after a couple of days. The White Sox were leading in the vote. When I saw it, I was like, that's going to change probably in about a day or two, because people were like, okay. But anyway, so yeah, go to ChicagoCrusader.com, scroll down, and vote for the SportsZone Chicago poll question of the week.
Well, guys, our first guest, well, actually our second, because we had Joseph on. Our next guest is she covers the Chicago Bears for Heavy.com. You've seen her on Shawn and Maya in the morning before. She's slowly becoming a great friend of the program. You can find her on Twitter at Beth Mishler Elmore. Guys, let's welcome back to Shawn and Maya, Beth Mishler Elmore. Beth, good morning. How are you?
Hey there, Shawn and Maya. How you doing? Good morning.
Good. How are you?
Wonderful.
Doing well. Doing well.
Except for that news from Eddie Goldman. That was kind of a sledgehammer to her chest, but yeah. So you wrote an article about Eddie Goldman, who decided to opt out for the 2020 season. Maya thinks it's premature. I think I agree with her. But what have you heard the reason behind it? Has he given a reason? Not that he has to, but has he said, hey, listen, I got a wife that's pregnant, I got a kid. What's the reason behind it, if you know it?
I don't know it. If I had to guess, he's a 320-pound man. And this is he's heavy contact every play. It's not like he's a receiver or a quarterback. And so if I don't know that he's got a kid on the way or a newborn baby, like Anthony Miller and Nick Foles and Cody Whitehair. So I'm not 100% sure on that. But if I had to venture a guess, I would say the health concerns may stem just the fact that he's one of the bigger guys on the team. And I don't think he's diabetic or anything or has any kind of conditions like that. But I also don't know the situation in his personal life or who he lives with or who he's, responsible for or close to. So I respect his decision. It was definitely a blow. But at 26 years old, it in the prime of his career, couldn't have been an easy one. So.
And now it leaves a figuratively and literally a big hole in the middle of that lineup. What you wrote about who some of the possible replacements could be. Who do you think the Bears could and should go after in this offseason to kind of replace that nose tackle position?
Well, I think the early consensus on Twitter is that Chicago wants some snacks. We want a little Damon Snacks Harrison. Yeah. The two of the three that I'm suggesting might be good role players this season and may even eventually grow into a expanded role if it works out this year, used to play against us in the NFC North. And so Snacks is the first, and former Packer Mike Daniels is the second. And neither are necessarily nose tackles per se, but both are excellent at stopping the run. And with Goldman gone, that's going to be, I think, the primary concern because he was one of the best, I think, run stoppers on the team and just one of the more underrated at it in the league, I think. And so I think there's health concerns with both Snacks Harrison and Mike Daniels. Both are coming out. Snacks is actually, he had 15 starts for the Lions yet last year, but he's had some injuries in his career and he's been around a lot. He's 31. And so he's not necessarily in the prime of his career yet, but I think he's got some good years left. And I think he's got an attitude that screams Bears football. I think he'd be a monster on the field. And I think he'd be great to come fill in. He played, I think, 46 or 47% of the snaps on defense for the Lions last year. So he could be a nice body to come in and provide maybe some depth on that defense, which is the defensive line is still strong. But it's going to be really interesting too, to see how Bilal Nichols and Roy Robertson-Harris maybe contribute in a nose tackle capacity, because you got John Jenkins and he's probably going to be in there, but I don't think he's going to be the answer. And so Jay Rogers, the defensive line coach earlier this summer, was talking about the importance of flexibility on the line. And so I think if you brought in someone like Daniels or Snacks Harrison, you'd have to also consider the roles of Roy Robertson-Harris and or Bilal Nichols and how they're going to contribute as well, because I think a combination of RRH and Bilal Nichols and then someone else they might bring in could be a pretty interesting way to sort of make up for the void that Goldman's going to leave.
How does this impact them in regards to, obviously, we had a kind of a consensus on the show that even though, when we had preseason, that we all said, preseason, not really all that important until you need it. Obviously, because you've got some evaluation pieces and you're trying to fit some pieces into the puzzle. So I think the Bears are already behind an 8 ball because they've lost that, as you could say, time frame to do some mixing up and figuring some things out. So being that they have to work on the fly, do you think that's going to be even a bigger challenge for them because of that?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think it's going to be a challenge for those around him too, right? I mean, I think Eddie Goldman's been there, and he's been the guy pretty much since 2015 in the middle of that defense. And so I think you can't just pick it up, especially with no preseason. You know, they're going to start practice here in a week or two, and things are going to, you know, pick up a little bit. But the main focus for the team is going to be on the quarterback competition now. And so that's, I think, where the media is going to go. But the real important thing, I think, is going to be how they compensate for Goldman being gone. And, you know, it can't be easy on the coaches either, because they had to expect that maybe there'd be a player or two on each side that could really impact the entire offensive or defensive line that might opt out. And when it did, you know, you got to just kind of roll with it. And so that's what I think they're going to pretty much be doing. And I think the first four games of the season, weeks 1 through 4, are essentially going to look like preseason. I think they're going to be kind of sloppy. I think we're going to see a lot more turnovers, missed assignments. I think especially, you know, in that role, in the nose tackle position, I think there's just going to be some natural getting used to his absence. And, you know, as much as you practiced it before, I don't know what their practice schedule was like. I'm not sure when Coach Rogers was talking about the importance of flexibility, just how much other players maybe move into the nose tackle position in practice. And so I'm not sure how much they've worked on it, but I'm pretty sure that it hasn't been enough to compensate for Goldman's absence. And so I think, yeah, I'm pretty sure weeks 1 through 4 are going to look like a preseason as a result.
So,
guys, we're joined by Beth Mishra Elmore from Heavy.com, who covers the Bears. We're talking about having a little Bears talk right here on Shawn and Maya in the morning on SportsZone Chicago.
So if I'm going to be the devil's advocate, then if the first possibly 1 through 4 games look like the preseason, does that pretty much mean there's not an expectation that they can be playoff bound?
I don't know. I think the first 4 games are going to look like the preseason for a lot of teams. And I think the Bears have a very easy schedule. So I'm not ready to write them off just yet. I think they could very easily handle the Lions and Giants in weeks 1 and 2. And I think they got Tom Brady, I think, in week 5. And so I think by then they might have shaken some rust off. And week 5, I think they might have a little motivation. I know Jalen Johnson's already talking about how he wants to intercept Tom Brady. So I think there's always a little extra when you're playing against somebody like that. And there's going to be, you know, divisional games early on. And I think that they're going to be wanting to, you know, make up for 2019. And so I think while they're going to be sloppy, I think everybody else is too, for the most part. And I don't really know that any team, this is new for all 32 teams. And so I don't really know that any team is going to come in and just be aces the first 4 weeks. Maybe the Chiefs, you know, they have Mahomes, they might be fine. But I think everybody's going to, for at least the first couple weeks anyway, be feeling the pain of no preseason and not being able to just shake off that rust and get back into the rhythm of things and get back into the, you know, the daily grind of it all.
But what does that mean then for the quarterback controversy? Because now are you gonna give Mitch a lot longer leash because he doesn't have any preseason, which means you're gonna let Foles sit on the bench, or is it still gonna be the same size leash, same length of leash that you give Mitch despite there's no preseason? I mean, what do you think this is going to happen? Because without the preseason, that you know, and Matt Nagy, him and Ryan Pace just spoke a few moments ago, and he said it's an open quarterback competition. So if it's open, how are you going to have guys, you know, who don't have any preseason, you don't have any preseason reps, and how are you going to judge them and when to pull one to put the other one in, and then vice versa? What if the second one is struggling? Are you going to switch and go back to the first one?
I've been, you know, Chicago media is completely split on this, it seems, and I'm that way too. I found I wake up some days thinking, okay, Mitch, he might be the guy, and then the next day I'll wake up thinking Nick is the guy. And so I think, I don't think Nagy, I think what's going to happen is they're playing the Lions week 1, and we know Mitch's numbers are best against Detroit. He likes man defense. So what I think is going to happen is I think Mitch is going to win the starting job. I don't know how long. I think they would feel better about a situation where they have Nick Foles waiting for them on the bench as opposed to starting Foles. And if you get hurt or maybe wouldn't live up to expectations, then you have Mitch. sitting there, and he's less of a sure thing on the bench. He's less of a stable backup quarterback in my mind. And so I'm thinking that might play a factor in this as well, combined with his history against the Lions, and then he has the Giants. I think they're going to give him one final chance to prove himself as the starting quarterback. And I think it's going to be a short leash, though. I don't think they're necessarily going to yank him if he loses the first game close. But if he throws 2 or 3 interceptions and looks horrible, I think Foles is coming in no matter when it is. And so I think they're going to still roll with Mitch just because, and there's a huge contingent of Bears fans that are behind Mitch. I mean, these people are adamant that he is the guy. And so I think there's just all this stuff and the atmosphere, the shortened preseason. Foles hasn't been able to work out with any of these guys yet. He's out working with high schoolers right now, which is fine. At least he's doing something, but it's not Anthony Miller. It's not Javon Wims. It's not who he needs to be seeing. And so I think at first Mitch has got the advantage here. And then they're just going to sort of maybe bring Nick in if Mitch can't live up to expectations or doesn't perform, which seems like the likelihood.
You know what? Here's the thing. I'm not a Mitch person, but I fully believe that because of the investment that they made in him, because of the poor decision making, that everybody who sat in that room and thought that he was the right pick, they need to try to find some way to redeem themselves. And the bottom line is that this is the season either Mitch can do it or he can't. So I don't think that you can just not start him. That would look awful. But I also believe that he deserves the opportunity when it's all said and done to start. It's his job to lose. So my thing is, if he wants it, he's going to show up. He's going to play at that level. He's not going to let Nick Foles, who he knows can definitely maintain and can get this team to move along and win games. Now you have to battle for your job. So it's his job to lose. You start him. And that's how I don't think there should be any kind of quarterback controversy. There's just a quarterback question. To be or not to be. That is a question with Mitch. That's it.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I think you're right, 100%. I think it's his job to lose. And if he wants it, for me, I like Mitch the person. Mitch the player is out in left field. He's not someone that I feel is reliable and that I can count on. And yet I root for him a little bit because he's got a good attitude, because he's a leader. At the same time, I want the Bears to win another Super Bowl, and I want my quarterback to be able to read defenses. And so if he can't do that, which is the basic requirement at the position in year 4, then I wish him well somewhere else because he's not going to be here next year.
See, yes, that's it, Beth. You just hit the nail on the head. I'm with you on this. You know what I stopped saying about people who suck at their job? I really like them. Don't matter if I like you or not as a person. I need you to perform in the job that you were hired to do. And that's the thing is, Mitch is such a nice guy. I think people feel bad that we have to say, let that go.
Yeah.
And you know what? And then part of it is, I like Mitch. I want him to do well, but if he at this stage of the game, I'm not sure if he can, because in year 4, okay, you're going into year 3 of this offense. You have to be able to be able to determine what defense you're going against. That's rule number 1. What defense are they in? Because that allows you to change plays, that allows you to audible, that allows you to depending on your RPO, what you're going to do. And that inability to do that is paramount. I get it if the first season he had a problem because he had John Fox in that system. Then the second year he had Matt Nagy. But that second season, which was his third, but that second season of Matt Nagy's system, it should have started to click for him, and it hasn't. So I don't think he's going to be able to get it, because if at this point you don't have it, you don't have it. All the other two, the other quarterbacks who were drafted in that, the other 2 stud quarterbacks who were drafted that we passed on, they get it. Yeah. They're able to. I mean, hell, Deshaun Watson just talked about a whole series after one post game. He was like, "Yeah, in that 3rd and 7, they were in a cover 2, and I had to." I mean, he's going on and on in the press in the post game presser. That tells you he understands what the heck he's seeing. Our guy doesn't. So I would like Mitch to finally get it. I don't think he can, and now we're screwed. Now we need it. Hopefully Nick Foles can do something, can perform to the level to make this defense viable. and get us into the playoffs. And then we have to start looking for a quarterback after this season.
Yeah, I think one of the, obviously Pace's biggest blunder was moving up to draft Mitch and not drafting Mahomes or Watson. And I could watch Deshaun Watson's post-game pressers for hours. Mm-hmm. I wish the Bears had once had a quarterback that could analyze plays like that and break it down. Correct reporters and just in a way that wasn't passive aggressive or mean. It was just full of knowledge and respectful.
Clinical. It's clinical. Yeah.
And it seems like I literally thought this to myself at about 2 or 3 in the morning last night. We're damned if we're true and we're damned if we're false. I think either way, next year, we're going to be left looking for a quarterback. And I think one of the worst things Pace did, I kind of went off on a tangent there, but I think one of the worst things he has done as GM or not done is draft a quarterback every year. He acted like that.
You mean when he said he would?
Right. I mean, that was one of the first things he said when he came to town. And I remember when Lovie Smith came to town, one of the first things he said was, we're going to beat the Packers. He went and did that. Ryan Pace was like, we're going to draft a quarterback every year. He drafted one, and it was Mitch Trubisky over Patrick Mahomes. So he had better, I don't care who's available next year. There better be a quarterback draft.
There has to be. There
has to be.
And I want to make a statement, then I have a question for you, Beth. It's interesting because even if Mitch improves his football IQ, and he's able to, let's say, sit down and watch film and read defenses. For some reason, I still don't think that's going to translate into the game because under duress, he looks like a deer in the headlights. And I don't think that's a part of his makeup that's going to change necessarily, is that ability to deal, when the line folds, can he manage to maintain and do what he needs to do? I don't know that he can think on the fly like that. And that's a concern. But speaking of thinking on the fly, do you feel that the offensive line this season is going to be able to give him the time and protection that he's going to need to be better at being able to read defenses, so to speak?
I do. I think they'll be better. I think they'll be more like the offensive line of 2018. And I don't know if you guys saw, Windy City Gridiron did a really great breakdown of the offensive line recently. And they pretty much found that the Bears players are average. They're not great. They're not horrible, but they can get the job done. And I think Juan Castillo is going to help. I think he's going to instill some fundamentals and maybe a drive that wasn't there, maybe a work ethic that was kind of missing last year. And I think that we're going to, for sure, I don't think there's a question in anybody's mind that we're going to see both Mitch Trubisky and Nick Foles on the field during the regular season this year. And I think they're going to have the same offensive line. And I think that when Nick Foles starts hitting his checkdowns and starts kind of, reading defenses a little bit more and making the correct decision at the line of scrimmage instead of running backwards with the ball and holding on to it, I think we're going to see pretty quickly how bad the Bears' offensive line isn't.
So
I'll tell you what, Beth. Here's I guess you and I are going to be on different sides of the fence of this because the one thing, I mean, if you look in baseball, the teams that are going to do well in this pandemic situation are teams that are already established, teams that have a lot of cohesion and chemistry. The Bears at that right guard spot don't. That was huge. So Charles Leno Jr. in the left tackle had one bad year and then one good year. I mean, one decent year and then one bad year last year. And then the guard in the center situation. So you started James Daniels at guard. Now he's at center. Now he's going back to guard. And then his dancing partner was Cody Whitehair. Now you had nobody for Kyle Long. And then you have Bobby Massey on the other side. In the run game, the two guards in the center are your run game. And when you don't have a guy like that, like Kyle Long that we lost or let go, there's a big hole in that. So, and then add to that, you're adding a new line coach. So there's different terminology, there's different blocking schemes, there's a different technique or philosophy with a new offensive line coach. And so for me, if we want that offensive line to be good, then Matt Nagy's going to have to run the ball because the best way to help your quarterback is with a run game. And the best thing to do for linemen is to tell them, and I've said this multiple times, and I'll say it till the cows come home, tell your offensive lineman, running the ball 30 times today. I don't care how many plays we have. Okay, we can have 100. There's a guarantee that we are running the ball 30 times because it's a mind shift. It's a switch that is flicked, and that of the offensive lineman. I get to mash people today. I'm not kick stepping and working on twists. I'm going to mash people. And if he can do that, which I don't know if he's going to do because he loves to pass the ball, if he does that, that will shorten that learning curve for this offensive line, which will help Mitch or Nick Foles, whoever's back there. Because if you don't, you want to continue throwing the ball, with no OTAs and no involuntary workouts, this offensive line doesn't have any cohesion while learning a new philosophy from a new offensive line coach. So I think this offensive line is going to be an issue. But
here's the thing. I don't know. I'm on the fence about this because one of the
being on the opposite side of the fence, and you're in the middle.
I'm right in the middle.
You're on the fence.
I'm on the fence, me. But that's me on the fence. But here's the thing that I think is the intangible that we don't know. Nagy, when it's all said and done, as goes his mindset and his focus. As your focus goes, your energy follows. So with that being said, if he's not willing to make the adjustments to make Mitch successful, or he's going to be looking to Foles, because that's going to be part of the problem. Is that you're right. Offensively, we've got some issues, but I don't even know, being that I feel Nagy is very into himself and does not want to give up control of the offense. I don't know how much of their philosophy is really going to change, because if you think about it, it was really his philosophy last year. They only fired people because they had to make it seem like it was somebody's fault. Did I do that? I mean, I'm serious. But we didn't feel those people were truly accountable, because the year before there was a level of success. So I don't know from a philosophy standpoint how much of this is not already Nagy's philosophy and then we're seeing a shift. We'll never really know unless all of a sudden, because wait a minute, let's just say they get out there and they play cohesively. Does that mean the new person was like a guru? Or was it nothing really changed from last year in regards to philosophy, except now we do have some position shifts? But see, Kyle Long has been MIA for a while. So he hasn't been in that lineup for a long time. So I don't look at him as being, because he's not there, it's a detriment, because he's been absent for a long time because of injury prior to coming and just saying, we're done, it's finished, let's just move forward. So it'll be interesting. One, how long is the leash does Mitch have before Nagy pulls him? Because let's be honest, he already shown he struggles with committing to the run. He wants to pass the ball. And we do know that Foles can read defenses and he can pass the ball. So how long am I going to sit with the guy who can't do it because everything isn't working in his favor? You have to work to your strengths. And I don't think that Nagy's going to be that patient with Mitch when he went out. They intentionally went and got Foles for a reason. I don't know. So how long from you two do you think Mitch has, if he's not, let's say he's average lukewarm, not wowing, how long do you think he gets before they pull the plug on him?
I'd say a couple games. I'd say 2 games max. I don't think it's going to be long. They're not going to waste the season on Mitch. They're not going to give him much time. And like I said earlier, I think if he comes out and just stinks it up and throws 2 or 3 picks against the Lions, he's gone. His mental state's got to be just chaos, frazzled ridiculousness. I can't imagine. And I think that's going to be huge, like how well he handles all of the pressure. And if he can just set it aside, put it on the shelf, forget about everything, not think and play ball, it's the only chance he's got. Because otherwise, if he goes, I think 2 games max. I don't think they're going to give him the first 4 weeks of the season, like 25% of the year. Here you go, Mitch, try to get it right. But like you said, Maya, earlier, I think they got to roll him out there and give him a chance. He's the one more chance. This is it. This is his last chance. But it's going to be do or die time.
Baby, give me one more chance, like Biggie.
Shawn, what do you think? I mean, how long? Nagy is impatient in his own way. I don't care.
No, he's got a game. He's got a game. If he stinks out the joint, that's why they brought a guy in that Nagy's comfortable with. If you screw it up, I think I wouldn't be surprised if he screws it up in the first game. That change is made right then and there, because Nagy's now you're going to start to see the self-preservation for Nagy. Like my ass is on the line. Okay, I got a guy here who understands this offense, who I don't have to worry about whether or not he can read defenses. He has a Super Bowl ring that tells me he can read defenses and be successful. So I think the leash is short. And I'll tell you what, here's the issue, and Ryan Pace did a good job by hedging his bets, because if Mitch is horrible and we start talking, oh my God, he got pulled, but then Nick Foles comes in and starts playing really well. And we're not really talking about Mitch. We're talking about how successful the Bears are and how awesome that defense is, because Nick Foles is driving them scoring, keeping the defense off the field, giving us a lead, and this defense gets to play with a lead, which they haven't had as much as we'd like. So he hedges his bets pretty well, and I think it's going to be – there'll be talk about it, but there won't be as much talk about, the bust that he was, because the Bears will be winning, and that's basically what they want.
I say 2 to 3 games. I am on the fence. Just because, let's say the first game is kind of like everybody's coming back, COVID, stuff on your mind, making adjustments. The second game is like settle in. You know what I'm saying? And I think by game 3, if he looks like he's really struggling, that's why I don't think they'll give him more than that. Just because I think game 1 is everybody has to settle in. You know what I mean? Game 2 is when they're like, okay, let's go. So I don't know. I say 2 to 3 games. And if he looks like he's really struggling, especially with the schedule that they have, that's when I think they say, this is not a long season like baseball. We don't have this many games to monkey around with. We're going to have to sit you, buddy.
I'm wondering, what do you guys think of Matt Nagy in terms of, do you think he knows that if he wants to keep his job, he needs to learn how to run the ball effectively as an offensive coordinator? Because he says after a lot of games and or during media press conference, I'm not an idiot. I'm a smart guy. And yet he, used David Montgomery a handful of times. I mean, I could count the amount of times on 2 hands he used him in the first game against Green Bay. And so do you guys think that he knows this, or do you think that he's just going to, like Shawn kind of alluded to, I've got a game plan. I've got my style of offense. If Mitch can't do what I need him to do, I'm going to bring Nick in and he's going to run my offense, but I am not going to run the ball any more than I have to or want to. What do you think is going on in his head with that?
I think that's, in my mind, I think that's what's going on in his head. Like, I'm not going to sit here and keep making concessions to my playbook because I have a person who can't execute it when I have a person who can.
Yeah.
You look at offensive coordinators, especially guys who are called geniuses, and I'm not saying that he was, but when you look at offensive coordinators, they believe in their system, they believe in their philosophy. He comes from, and I can guarantee he believes that Andy Reid is a genius. Okay, and he finally broke through where you can call him a genius because he won the Super Bowl. Okay, before that, he was just a guy who couldn't get it done, and so he believes in his system. Remember, we had Mike Martz, and Mike Martz was adamant about his system. Okay. Mm-hmm. And so offensive coordinators are very, very self-centered and narcissistic about their system. And so if he's not going to change it, he's got a guy finally, like I said before, who can run the system. It's not going to change. So we're going to waste David Montgomery. We're going to waste an offensive line. And again, as I said, the best thing for a quarterback and the best thing for an offensive line when you're learning a new scheme is run block. Mm-hmm. Run, because now you gain confidence. Now you're wearing the opponents down. You're winning by attrition. And if you don't do that, which I don't believe Matt Nagy will do, there's going to be a lot of problems, and there's going to be a lot of problems for the Bears.
Oh, boy.
Well, yep, you're right.
It was great having you. This is Beth Mishler Elmore. She covers the Bears for Heavy.com, and you can find her on Twitter at Beth Mishler Elmo. Okay?
Elmore. Stop calling her Elmo.
No, that's her Twitter handle.
I'm just kidding.
Twitter handle. And you're like our guy Eric Lambert from Sports Mockery. You put out like 3 articles a day. Jeez.
Yeah.
Fire.
Working.
Well, when you cover the Bears, guess what? They give you lots of material to work with.
Lots of news, lots of drama. Always something going on with the Bears.
Yeah, that's true. Beth, great stuff. We appreciate it. We'll be in touch soon.
All right. Thanks for having me, guys. Have a good one.
All right, now. Guys, that was Beth Mishler Elmore. Man, there's just so many question marks, Maya. So many question marks. So,
but honestly, even if we weren't dealing with COVID-19, real talk, because that's like the overarching conversation people like to throw out there, we would still have a lot of questions about the Bears. We had them before. I mean, seriously, last year there were issues. We still have some of the same questions that we would attempt to resolve in preseason, but now we can't. So now they have to be resolved on the fly in the regular season, which to me can compromise their playoff run if they don't get it right. And
I don't think they're going to get it right. I think this first couple of games is going to be a trial and error, and it's going to screw us up as far as record-wise. And I don't see us making the playoffs, and it sucks. I want us to because we have the talent, we have the defense, but we just don't have the chemistry. And there's just a couple of key points, a couple of key positions, one being the most important position in all the professional sports, quarterback position, that's up in the air. So
I'm going to say this to irritate. I'm going to say this to irritate our next guest. I'll be sculling it another year.
Well, listen, we got to take our last break of the show, and on the other side of the break, our guy, he was so livid about the White Sox this weekend. He called. He's like, dude, I got to come on. I got to come on. I was like, all right.
Ricky, just lose my number.
So we got Jason Palmer from What's Up, Cuz. He's coming up next. So keep it locked right here. Shawn and Maya in the morning on SportsZone Chicago.
Quicken Loans presents the Sports Flash, driven by Jeep on 1330 and 95.9 The Zone.
Lorenzen glancing back at Rizzo, and the pitch on the way to Baez. Swinging a fly ball towards center field and deep. Back goes the center fielder to the wall. That ball is gone. Home run, Javier Baez. his second of the game, and the Cubs have opened it up and lead 8-3.
Cubs radio with the call. Javier Baez with a pair of homers. He doubled and scored on a dive to the plate. Alex Mills went 6 solid innings, and the Cubs extended their strong opening streak. 8-5 the final over Cincinnati. Chicago's won 4 of its first 5 games. The Cubs have scored first in each of them. Mills held Cincinnati to 2 hits over 6 innings. Continuing the strong early season play of Chicago's starters, the Cubs pitchers have a 1.80 ERA and a 131 opponent batting average so far. Blue Emu promises no chill, no burn, no odor, just what you need to soothe tired muscles and joints. The Sports Flash is driven by Jeep. Chuck Sanders, 1330 95.9 The Zone.
Indeed knows you've got big goals for your business, and we understand hiring is a crucial part of that. You need to hire people who will make a real impact. Indeed can help you find those important hires faster while paying only for what you need without any long-term contracts, thanks to our super flexible payment options. Start finding your important hire today with a free $75 credit for your first job post and get in front of more quality candidates. Go to Indeed.com/high impact. That's Indeed.com/high impact. Terms and conditions apply.
Hey, save that bee. We need him.
Did you know pollinators are more than just honeybees? Did you know 1 in 3 bites of food is made possible by pollinators? That's why Prairie View A&M Cooperative Extension is prepping for pollinators this summer. Identify your backyard pollinators, take photos, and plant the flowers that help them thrive. Visit agnearme.com. That's agnearme.com to download our pollinator prep guide today. Let's get prepping.
Guys, welcome back to Shawn and Maya in the morning on SportsZone Chicago. And we're going to talk a little more baseball. And one of the things, I'm very, very disheartened by what I've seen with Ricky Renteria's, many of his decisions to this point. And there's another guy who is questioning the decision that Ricky Renteria is making. For me, my first thing was, why isn't McCann catching Giolito? There's another one. Talking about having people in the order. You got that clip for us, Ivan?
Yeah, right now.
Former White Sox manager Ozzie Guillen is questioning the order, the batting order of one Rick Renteria.
Nicky Delmonico batting fourth here in Game 2, and I looked it up. He's actually made 41 starts batting cleanup in his career with 8 home runs.
When?
I don't have that in front of me, but he has done it.
He was with the White Sox before that was in big league team. No. In the last 3 years, no, I'm sorry, but no.
Yeah.
But what you looking forward more at bat?
I think, now here's what I think he's doing, Renteria. He wants to protect his rookie. At this point, bring him up in the order. He's showing he's ready. I would bat him fourth right now.
But protect from what? You know what I mean? This kid's going to be the future batting fourth or fifth of the White Sox.
Yeah.
Watch out with batting third. And, you know what I mean? I just like, here it is, because he looked good on, you see the base he had to right field?
Yes.
Today, nice, easy swing to the right field. He's not the type of rookie just want to jank and hit home run every time. This kid is a good hitter. The Monaco, I don't mind about you batting fourth, but I think you give the best opportunity and more at bat to your best hitter.
Nicky?
Bingo. Thank you. Your best hitters get your most at bats. And I know that's a kind of weird, crazy thought, that your best hitters bat the most. I don't know if anyone else knows about this, but, unbelievable.
You're blinding me with science on this. What are you doing?
Our next guest, I think, falls along those lines, or is in concert with those sentiments from Ozzie Guillen. And by the way, that clip was courtesy of NBC Sports Chicago. That was our post-game show. But our next guest, you've seen him, and he's got the hottest show right here on SportsZone Chicago called What's Up, Cuz, with his partner, his cousin, actually, Lance C. Irving, the head coach of the men's basketball team at Chicago State. And you've heard him on here plenty of times. You can find him on Twitter at Jay Coyden. Guys, just welcome back to Shawn and Maya, Jason Palmer. Jay, what up, Papa? How are you?
I am not happy.
I know. You texted me yesterday, boy.
I am in a surly mood, man.
Why?
You heard Ozzie. He's like, is Nicky DeMonico? No. Nicky, no.
He's like,
no. It's just no. There's no explanation. It's just no.
I'm in such a mood. I ain't even set up my camera for y'all this morning. I just sat right here in the lounge chair because that's what I need, man. Nicky Delmonico, man. You got to be kidding me. You got to be kidding me, Renteria. And I'm not a coach basher But what he committed yesterday with that lineup in that second game, that is a fireable offense. That was a fireable offense, period.
Crimes against humanity. You like,
that was complete. That was complete and utter incompetence.
Yes.
And we need to say it like it is. And I'm very irritated that, because of COVID, the press is not there to like sit with him face to face
and grill
to grill him on that. That was fireable, Maya. That was an insult to the intelligence of every White Sox fan out here. And that's what needs to be said. Nicky Delmonico was hitting 083 going into that second game. And you put him in the cleanup spot? He shouldn't even been in the game. And the truth of the matter is, Rick Hahn deserves some of this smoke too, because he don't even need to be on the roster. People are forgetting that last year, they designated Nicky Delmonico for assignment. He wasn't even part of the 40-man roster at a certain point. So this dude can't play. So why are you doing this?
The problem with Nicky Delmonico is he's spotty. That's the problem. When you keep working on potential with players, you know what I mean? Like there's potential, it's this, it's that. It causes a problem when they're not living up to potential. And there's been times we've seen him in the lineup and he's been productive. You know what I mean? Big hits at big times, but it's not consistent. And let's be honest, he's not what you're looking at as being one of the top tier players. You know what I mean? He's a utility player.
Right. So Maya, they cut Carson Fulmer finally. Okay. We've been begging for that. Because here's another dude who's just like Nicky Delmonico. He had plenty of opportunities. He never proved himself. So you move him. That's the same thing you do with Delmonico. You got Adam Engel sitting there.
Okay, who's chomping at the bit and who's improved at the plate.
Exactly. You got him sitting there. You got Luis Babase, who's never gotten an opportunity at all. Okay, I'd rather see a person who's never had a shot before than a person who's had 3 years of, some chances. He's not getting it done. It's no different than what Ray Lopez is. I agree with you 100%, Meyer. Lopez needs to be gone, or you need to put him in the bullpen.
Okay, something. I mean, here's the problem that the White Sox struggle with. There's an over level of commitment, and as a fan, I love commitment. We've seen this from managing from Ventura. Too long, should have never been there in the first place.
I agree.
He's nowhere near like a David Ross who might, amaze us. But the bottom line is there's always an overcommitment. Look how long it took for the Sox to part company with Alvacel Garcia.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's just they do things for long periods of time. And I'm talking about Delmonico is nowhere near Javi. You know what I mean? How Javi was? He's nowhere near where his talent was. So it's just, I don't get it either. I was like, why is he in that spot again? But remember, this is classic Renteria. Everyone knows I am not Team Renteria. I didn't like the hire. I didn't like the hire. I wanted him gone. And I'm like, he's not the guy that's going to coach them to the next level. But you know what? Let him go ahead and have a very subpar season, because if the White Sox can't make the playoffs with this squad and the opportunity that's presented itself, 60 games, hit hard, fast, if they can't even make the playoffs in this situation, I'm not even talking about winning the World Series. That's not even in the conversation, because there's 2 other teams that got it together. Seriously.
Right.
But if they can't even cut the playoff team with the 16-team playoff they're talking about, this is when let the season play out. We don't need any kind of controversy, and let them go at the end of the season.
Okay, here's my thing with that, Maya. I hear you on that, but at the same time, you only have so much time when you have a group in their core. And the bottom line is he's infecting them with his bad managing.
Ricky's boys don't quit.
Ricky is creating a bad culture that, half effort is, acceptable. Eloy Jimenez got hurt again playing left field. At a certain point, they just need to teach this young man how to play left field, or don't put him in left field.
Don't put him in.
And so now this is where I'm going. My second part of this, Rick Hahn did some things I didn't like during the offseason. A lot of people like these offseason moves. I didn't.
What didn't you like?
I think we got 5 first basemen on the damn roster.
Yes, there is a lot. Yes, I agree.
You got Abreu. You got Grandal who can play first. You got Zach Collins who can play first. You got Encarnacion who can, if you're not going to DH him, you got to put him in first base. What are you doing? Why are you loading us up with a bunch of slow power hitters? You can only play 2 of them at the same time, one of them at DH and one of them at first base. That was a bad move. He needed another veteran pitcher, and he did not get it. He went with power, and power is fine, but power can also be slow and hurt you defensively. Okay, so now we hear Nomar Mazara, thank God, has reported to the off-site camp. So, Delmonico will eventually be out of the outfield.
Right.
And that's fine, but that's not helping the pitching situation. And so my solution to this, which is controversial with some people, our boy Zoe from the Southside Zoe, he's mad at me right now because he's in love with Nick Madrigal, who's never done anything yet.
Yeah,
he's in love with Nick Madrigal.
That's his love.
And he's in love with Andrew Vaughn, another one, which is another first baseman. You got 2 prospects who will probably bring you a pretty good starting pitcher if you need to move them. Because I don't care what you say, you can get a first baseman anywhere. Andrew Vaughn may be a future Hall of Famer, but we don't need a first baseman right now. Put him on the trading block. Nick Madrigal, a second baseman. He's going to be a great contact hitter. Might be. But you know what? I can find a whole bunch of people who I can stick at second base as well. I need some pitching, baby. I ain't got no starting pitching. So if I have to give up 2 of those prospects to get me a veteran starting pitcher, then that's what I'm going to do.
But remember,
here's the thing. Go ahead, man. Sorry.
Anybody who knows how this works in regards to you always overstock prospects.
That's right.
There is never the expectation that all of your prospects will matriculate to the majors. Some of them will be put into trade deals to get something else. So this is why you stock heavy. I mean, think about it. The Cubs gave up Cease and Jimenez to us because they were stocking. Now they might be a little light down there now, but that was all towards they are now a team that's set to compete for a number of seasons. So we all know every time you get a prospect, they may not stick with you or never even make it to the squad at the major league level. They're trade bait, so to speak. They're packages you want to put together to go get pieces that the White Sox are right now, you should be winning team. And there does need to be more veterans. I was calling for Keuchel last year. Call Keuchel. I kept saying, call Keuchel. And actually somebody did it. But I said, there's issues in the starting pitching. I had this issue last year. I know how you feel about it. I know, Jason, you're a Giolito person. Nope. I'm not convinced. I'm still not there. I'm watching the rest of Major League Baseball. He's not an ace. He's only the ace we got. That's the problem. I talk about Lopez. If he can't get it right, be done with that. Move along. We don't know where Rodon is going to be. So look at the lineup. Right now, we have a lot of question marks, a little bit more so than I thought we might have. But you're right. Pitching is the Achilles heel, and something needs to be done about that now.
But the issue is Renteria. And you know what? You had a guy, McCann, who handled his staff very well. And when you had the opportunity to get Grandal, you're like, oh my, well, McCann is a one-hit wonder. Okay. And we got a guy who's proven over the last couple of years. And he has. Grandal has been very productive. But that doesn't mean he's a good fit. Just because you get a superstar or a guy who's very good at his position, doesn't mean he's a good fit, especially when you have young guys. And you talked about aces and veteran pitchers. Veteran pitchers can pitch with anybody, okay? Most of the time. Lester's the exception. He wanted Ross, but even now he has to pitch without Ross. But young guys, when they get into a groove with somebody, okay, that's their comfort zone. That's their comfort zone. And your inability, and here we're talking about it like we did before, your inability to put your players in the best position to be successful is my issue with Renteria.
Yep.
Okay. You need Dylan Cease. We saw he had he'd have one inning that was bad, and then usually every other inning lights out. It's okay. Now you work with that. Who was behind the plate? McCann. Lucas Giolito in the first half of the season was a Cy Young Award winner favorite. Huh?
There you go.
Yeah, he's a Cy Young Award favorite. Why? Who's behind the plate? McCann. But you got the new toy, and you say, okay, well, we got to put him out. And Maya brought up a good point. Maybe G. Little said, hey, because I am excited about working with Grandal, and put him out there. But that's where Ricky needs to save him from himself. Say, no, you did well with him last year. This is what you're comfortable with. So if you don't do well with him after 1 or 2 starts, then we'll put him in. You need game 1. You needed game 1 to start off the season right, and first pitch of the game, gone. First pitch of the game, gone.
Well, you know what, Shawn? And here's why I say you have to give a lot of smoke to Rick Hahn on this. I didn't have a problem signing with Grandal. I thought it was great. I said, okay, this guy, you can DH him. You can put him in catcher. You can stick him in first base. You can kind of rotate him and Abreu and McCann kind of around and play with it how you want. What screwed it up was when you signed Encarnacion, because now that's another bat you've got to keep in the lineup, and it's taking up a roster spot for another area where you need somebody. I think that was what screwed it up on Han's part. I thought that was an unnecessary signing. You're signing a guy who's like 35 years old. You're only bringing him in for a year. When you've got hitting, you don't need that. So that was my first problem with it. My second part is Ricky shouldn't have been brought back to work with this team to begin with for this season, even if it was going to be a full season. Maya and I knew who we wanted, and it was Joe Girardi. We have been screaming it. We've been screaming it. We said, okay, fine. You don't want to do it the year before, fine. You don't feel like you're going to have all the pieces. You didn't bring everybody up yet, fine. Let's bring everybody up and then go get us a real manager. They were bringing everybody up. We knew they were going to bring everybody up. We were like, go get Girardi. Just go get him. Just get rid of Ricky. Go get Girardi. He's on the market. He'll have a young team that he can work with. Rick Hahn didn't do that. So, again, this is his fault. So now we're in this situation. So here's my thing. You got to get rid of Ricky. The guy who I really want, who's like my second, Maya thought I was crazy, but the guy went to 2 World Series, and the guy knows how to manage is Ron Washington, who is the third base coach of the Braves. Now, Maya, you can be upset with him because he has his substance abuse problems, but the man knows how to manage. If you look at his managerial
I don't question that. I don't.
Okay, well, would you take Ron Washington, or do you want to stick with Ricky?
Well, right now I would take Ron Washington.
Okay, there you go.
I'm not going to lie about that because clearly he's a better guy. I just don't want – see, I'm not big on detractors. That's my thing. So I need you to be focused and ready. I don't want any hiccups. And he had hiccups when he was in a position with teams that, were thriving. I just don't want any distractions, any problems, any concerns. So that's my only issue with, because substance abuse is an uphill battle.
Yes, it's an everyday battle.
It's an everyday thing, and I just don't want any distractions. That was my biggest issue. Can he stay focused? Is he on the right track? Because if that's the case, don't get me wrong, I like him. I mean, he's an excellent manager. It's just that demon he has, though, can totally mess up everything you're trying to do with an organization.
I agree. I agree with that.
Here's what the White Sox need, and I know Ozzy's name's going to come up out of my mouth in a few seconds, but they need a manager who can knock them off their pedestal.
Amen.
Okay? This team is young. This team is talented, and unfortunately, they seem a little too big for their britches. Okay, Tim Anderson had a great second season, 2 years in a row. So Tim Anderson is definitely his trajectory is up. It wasn't a fluke. Okay. Right. Yoel Moncada had a bad year 2 years ago. Last year had a really, really great year last year. Okay, his trajectory is up. Eloy Jimenez, 2 stints on the injured list, didn't hit his first home run for 4 or 6 weeks, still hit 30 home runs. His trajectory is up. But they're still I don't feel that they're humble enough. I don't feel that I feel that they have this sense of entitlement.
I agree.
And I need a guy. And again, Ozzie Sr., but I need a guy or another manager who can say, hey, listen, Luis Robert, you're not Rookie of the Year. You haven't won it yet. Tim Anderson, last year leading the American League in batting, great. Do it again. Yoel Moncada, you had one crappy year, one good year. What are you going to be? Is it going to be? I need a guy who can knock them out and keep them humble. Okay. And if they don't get a manager who can, okay. I mean, look at even Luis Robert at times. You have to be team first. And sometimes I think that they're a little too focused on me.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just not necessarily things that they say or do. It's just an aura that I see with these guys.
Yeah, I can follow
aura that I see.
I see it too.
And I need a guy who say, hey, listen, rookies. Luis Robert, you got a $26 million signing bonus. We're signing for this. You carry this guy's bag. You carry this. You need to be put in your place and earn your spot as a teammate when you're young. And that's not there. There's no manager there right now who's going to put them in their place. And to me, I think that's what they need.
Yeah, this is what I see, Shawn. And this is I think where Shawn is going with this. We're currently 1-4. And in those 4 losses, they've played like crap.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to see y'all acting goofy.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to see that. That's why you didn't like Yomer Sanchez, Maya. Remember, that's why you didn't like Yomer. Yeah. And I agree with you.
I was like, too much.
Y'all need to be showing me something out there. The only person who I can visibly see is upset by kind of what's going on is Tim. A lot of times you look at some of his facial expressions when they out there making mistakes. You know, I don't want to see y'all up there acting goofy and jumping around. You're 1-4 in a 60-game season. So y'all need to come out tonight with some fire.
You know what I think the issue is? I mean, I see this two ways. I think there is an energy about them, like they know they're young, they know they're talented. I think they're enjoying where they are. I don't know that I look anybody, even though, for instance, Lewis Roberts, there was a play yesterday for the little part of the game that I watched before they annoyed me and I turned it off. Because, you know, I get click, and then I went to the Dodgers and got mad with them for about 5 minutes and turned that off too. But there was a play where it was a fly ball out of center, and Luis Garcia was right there. Yep. And Lewis Roberts comes all the way over and then steps in front of him and makes the play. And then he kind of looks at Luis Garcia and laughs. And at first he was like, and he laughed.
Wasn't happy. He wasn't happy.
And then he kind of just laughed because he probably realized the camera was on him. And I thought that was unacceptable. And he should have been checked on that. Because he didn't have to come that. He ran all the way over there to do that play. And I thought that was extra. So in that sense, with Roberts, I'm starting to see something.
You see what I mean, though?
Yeah, so
I'm that.
But the thing is, I don't think the season started that. I feel like there's a shift because, believe it or not, the White Sox across the board from a national level has gotten a lot of attention and a lot of hype. Everyone's like, this team is good. They're young. Well, and you're right. And they've actually played relatively crappy, so to speak. But I think we can all agree on this. As goes your team, they follow the attitude of your manager.
Yep.
So, for instance, if you take someone like, God forbid I say this, but I will. You throw someone like David Ross on this team, he'd probably write that ship real quick, like, whoa, hold up. We ain't done nothing yet.
Because the fundamentals that he's instilling back in that extremely talented Cubs team that kind of got away from it.
Right. So it's like somebody has to be able, this is not about Ricky Boys Don't Quit. This is a whole different grouping of people. They really need direction. And you're right. This is where Ozzie would be the person to give them direction and they would respect him. That's because it's all about respect. People, when you know what, it's like you have to be, a man among boys when it comes to being a manager. And even though these are all men, they have to have a certain level of respect for you. And people respect Ozzie. People would respect Joe Girardi. I just don't feel like there's a certain level of respect for Ricky. What has Ricky done?
He's Jim Boylan.
Okay, please don't.
He's Jim Boylan.
Don't.
Why is he not Jim Boylan? He's making the same stupid tactical decisions. Yeah. His team don't respect him. He's Jim Boylan.
I do believe that he's not the right fit. What
happened with this is you pull him off to the side and you don't chew him out. You pull him off to the side and talk to Lewis Robert and say, hey, listen, don't do that. Okay? You ran 60 yards for that fly ball. It was hit. Lurie ran 3 steps. You back him up. Don't do it again.
Right.
Period. Just don't do it again.
You do the scene from Major League when the dude made the basket catch. He's like, hey, come here, nice catch. Don't ever do that S again.
I mean, I'm with you. I believe it probably didn't even happen, to be honest. So definitely they need to be reeled back in because though I want them to be loose and to have fun, at the same time, they need that structure. They don't lose sight of what they should be doing. So definitely, I think there's a confidence to it, but I think there's times it crosses the line a little bit, not all the time. And Tim does seem to be disgusted right about now.
Lewis, so here's the team has got to check Louis Robert. Mm-hmm. Okay. You got to check him. I don't give a damn how much money you made, and then they giving you your signing bonus. You're still a rookie, and you're going to be good. But there's a certain way to play the game, and cutting off your fellow outfielders who truly have rights to the ball. Okay, is not one of them, and that's the entitlement that I'm talking about. That's the entitlement of look at me, because I can run 60, 80 yards and still get there in time because I run like a freaking deer. I can still get there in time and catch the ball. You don't have to do that. That's right. Lurie's in right field for a reason. He's not a handicap in left field. It's a can of corn, a routine fly ball that he took 3 or 4 steps to get. Don't show out. And that's the issue. Don't show out. This is your teammates. You do that. I'm telling you, Lurie was pissed. Lurie was pissed, and he was just smiling, like you said, Maya. He knew the camera was going to be on him, and he was just like, and you're like, dude, and I hope he said something to him afterwards. I hope he said something to him in the locker room, like, dude, don't do that. We know who you are. We know what you can do.
Mm-hmm.
Let me play my game. And so we'll see. We'll see how it happens, how it plays out.
Shawn, what game did that happen in? I'm sorry. Which game was that?
I want to say the second game.
Yeah, I think it was the second game.
Yeah.
That's just weird. And it's just weird to me. But, going back to what Jason was saying about Rick Renteria, they didn't trust him enough to keep him on the Cubs when they knew they had a Cadillac.
Yep.
When they knew they had a Cadillac, they said, hell no. We'll go out and get another guy, even though you were working with this team. We'll go get another guy. That's all.
They didn't say we're gonna go get it. We're gonna go get another guy. One of the best managers at the time, at that particular time, became available. It's not like they're like, you know what, Ricky? No, they fired him.
You know what, guys? You know what, guys? We could argue about this all day, but you know what? This is only a 2-hour show. This is why we're going back up to 3 hours starting on Friday. See how just like that? Time is up. Time to end it because you can't argue this out. But Friday will be a 3-hour show.
And we'll be back to 3 hours, so me and Ivan can have this argument, and we'll be able to get it in time. Hey, guys, we want to thank our guest for coming on, Beth Mishler Elmore. She works for Heavy.com. She covers the Bears for them. Thank you for coming on. Joseph Phillips, thank you for coming on. He works for the Chicago Crusader. He's in our top of the morning segment. I also want to thank my guy Clarence Council. He is our social media posting guru. He is a posting fool, boy. So all those articles you see, Clarence finds them, gets them, puts them up so you can read it. Big shout out to Clarence. For our butt guy, our broadcasting using this tool guy, Elliot Baez. He's our Kramer. He's our ass man. Kramer, ass man, you got that right. Elliot Baez for behind the scenes work. We love it. Obviously, you, Ivan, we appreciate it. And then Jason Palmer for coming out of this 10:30 segment. We appreciate it. So for my lovely co-host, Maya Akai.
3 words. Get the app. iTunes, Google Play, Amazon Store.
I'm your boy, the Superback, Shawn Sierra. We're going to take another 46-hour break, and we'll see you on Friday, 9 a.m. to 11. Nope, 9 a.m. to noon. We're going back to 3 hours on Friday. Oh, and by the way, we will be next Friday, a week from Friday. We're going to be hosting. We're going to be at the Hispanic Business Network golf outing. So we'll be there. We'll have more information on it on this Friday. It's coming up. You know what? If you're interested in golf, do me a favor. Reach out to Hispanic Business Network. It's for the HBN Scholarship Fund. Do that. It's going to be a great time. And we're going to be out there at Carriage Greens Country Club out in Darien next Friday, August 7th. It's going for a great time for the kids. We love the kids, so check it out. So until then, I got 2 words for you. Maya's got 3 words for you. My 2 words are, we out. Later.